All right. Hello, everybody. Yes, it has been a while, but I am back. I'm your host, the Dark Conservatarian, and here I am back with the Strike Force Sunday afternoon news stream. So, in the news recently, I have some catching up to do. So, there was like the Migrant Caravan, the MAGAbomber, and there was, of course, the shooting in Pittsburgh. Wall Street Journal kills kids. And I got a little article at the end here of YouTube says EU copyright rules could see people banned from uploading videos and poses threat to way site works. All of the articles today is I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Don't know if I'm going to read every single word of every last one of them, but we will try our best to get through them all. But anyway, one of my co-hosts has just joined us now. What's up, JJ? Say hi. JJ? If you're there, I can't hear you, dude. Yes.
How about now?
Oh, now I can hear you. Cool.
Okay, hello everybody.
All right. Yes. The Crusader is my newest co-host. He's been on the show a few other times before in the past, but yeah, he's the one that replaced Sir Conservatarian. The reason why I say this is because, hey, Dude77 is in the chat. He was one of the people that was one of Sir Conservatarian's co-hosts. So yeah, ever since Sir Conservatarian had left YouTube and his former internet alias, JJ Skinner has been the proud replacement of him, right, JJ?
Indeed.
All right. So.
Oh, fuck.
We have a lot to go through, JJ. You ready? JJ?
Hold on.
Oh.
My fucking computer's kind of wonking out a little bit.
Okay, yeah, my computer went into power save mode, oddly enough, a little bit earlier for some reason. I guess it's because I have so many articles here, so many tabs on Google Chrome. But you ready, JJ?
I'm ready.
All right. So, first things first, the one subject that helped me get popular, we're going to be talking about the Migrant Caravan. I have I think 6 articles all talking about this issue alone. Oh, 2 of them, they go talking about birthright citizenship more specifically, but yeah, 6 articles on immigration. Hello, Red Feather. How are you doing? As she steps in the chat. All right, so border official. 3/4 of migrants in the caravan are adult men. Nearly 3/4 of those in the caravan of Central American Nearly 3/4 of those in the caravan of Central American migrants traveling through Mexico to the United States are adult men, a senior Border Patrol official told the Washington Examiner. Families and unaccompanied children make up about 20 to 30% of the caravan, according to Roy Villarreal, Deputy Chief Patrol Agent of the Border Patrol's San Diego sector. The rest of that is single adult males, Villarreal said during a recent tour of the region. Now, of course, you all know that when it comes to the issue of immigration and refugees, or in this case, migrant caravans who are asylum seekers, and I guess somebody could say that they're somewhat refugees because they're at least the alleged reason why they are traveling up to us is because there's a war in Honduras, I think it is. And one of the heartstring polls, one of the talking points on this issue, on those related issues, is most of these people that are trying to come to our country are women and children. And yet here is an article that is debunking that talking point for at least this one story. All right. Single-parent families and children who illegally entered the country will not be prosecuted, unlike adults. If a one-parent family or child is found to have illegally entered the country, they may also still claim asylum. The process of, okay, so that's a little bit of a privilege that both grown women and children have over adult men. And I'm not going to claim any victim points or anything like that. I'm just going to say that it kind of makes sense that you kind of favor women and children over men in these dangerous circumstances. When you want to evacuate an area, usually the soldiers or officials say women and children first, then men, you know? And it makes sense because the men typically are stronger and can fend for themselves a little bit better. With there, of course, are a few exceptions when it comes to women, but still. Red Feather says, I'm fine, Darkon. How are you today? Well, I'm pretty good. Trying to play catch up here. And hello, RSC Comic G. The process of having an asylum claim heard before a judge can take a couple of years due to the Department of Homeland Security's inability to hold more than a few thousand people at a time. Tens of thousands of people were released into the country in fiscal 2018 and told to appear for immigration court dates in the future. That sounds expensive. Like, I'm not seeing any numbers here related to how much it would cost, but still, just by going off of the what they're saying here, it sounds expensive. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials have said the inability to deport immediately has incentivized people to illegally enter rather than request asylum at a port of entry. Yeah, because we're so namby-pamby on this issue, it incentivizes them to break the rules, you know? Oh, hey, dude, has just put a long chat in the chat here. They are legitimately seeking asylum. Then we should, I think he meant to say if. I don't know. If they are legitimately seeking asylum, then we should accept the women and children, but require the men to go through regular military training and go back to their home country to take it back. that sounds like a fantasy movie of some kind. I mean, what do you think, JJ? I mean, I don't know if he's being serious or not, but still.
It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but I mean, it sounds like a good idea in theory, but the thing is, I don't know about the potential of like training a whole bunch of people that could potentially overthrow the government and turn that country into like a dictatorship. Like the United States has intervened in so many other countries to, you know, create dictatorships when the former dictatorship that they did not like before that current dictatorship, you know, like for example, Gaddafi getting overthrown, etc. You know, foreign policy interventionism. I may have said this before, Red Feather says, but I don't understand what they do with all the foreign aid they get. Yeah, I agree. Like, take out the foreign aid, including, I would say, to Israel. But that's a little bit of a side issue right there. Israel is like an entirely different animal in of its own. But just generally speaking on an international scale, I don't believe in giving foreign aid to countries, especially those that have a high animosity towards us. Their countries are shit and run by drug cartels. Yeah, drug cartels that potentially hate us, hate our guts and our citizens. RSC Comic G says, Bolsonaro will save Brazil and turn it into a beautiful capitalist country. What?
What?
I've heard nothing but bad things about Bolsonaro. You might want to tread lightly, RSC Comic G, because I've actually heard somebody try to make the case for Pinochet. There's also a quote that I come across where the guy said that he prefers dictatorships, which that kind of makes me dislike the guy already. Red Feather says he is the Brazilian Trump. Yeah, I that's also what I've heard him been referred to. But also, just going off by the sounds of this guy, he sounds worse than Trump. He's better. He's not a communist. That doesn't really
Just because
matter.
he's better doesn't mean he's good.
Yeah. I mean, he may not be a communist, but he's going to make a bad image for capitalists if he goes killing communists just for being communists, for crying out loud. Anyway.
Like
Pinochet.
Pinochet.
Yes, exactly, JJ. That's kind of what I'm afraid with Bolsonaro here.
Yeah, we don't want another Pinochet in this world.
We don't want like another dozen Voltaires out there defending him either.
Very true.
Single adults who, if found to have trespassed, will be referred by CBP to the Justice Department for prosecution. first-time illegal entry is a misdemeanor and subsequently it is a felony. At some point, those single adult males, when they show up at the border, may look to utilize those smuggling services, said Villarreal. Each person in the group of migrants traveling to the U.S. in the caravan will have to save up to $9,000, depending on what a cartel will charge to transport them into the U.S. Excuse me. 1 second. I'm going to bookmark the chat here because it's going to probably go like 50 miles per hour.
So RSC Comic G said, yeah, but the communists have already destroyed Brazil. There is no democracy in that country already. I
say restore that democracy. And
even don't force an economic change.
Well, if Bolsonaro is like already the leader of his country, I think that he has the full jurisdiction, at least more than us anyways, to go ahead and try to economically change his own country, JJ.
I'm saying just don't force it like how Pinochet did it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he's already in a dictatorial position, if he already is pretty much a dictator, well, then he can at least use his dictatorial powers to not kill people.
Exactly. That's what I was meaning to say.
Yeah, like he can be either a righteous, like a legitimately righteous monarch, or he can be an immoral dictator. I prefer the former.
And Red Feather says in the chat, well, my opinion is they had many other feuds. They don't need to come in droves.
That I see many other options to seek refuge. Yeah,
that makes sense.
That is a point because there are a whole bunch of other countries in between here and Honduras that is more culturally similar. Like it goes to wondering. I mean, isn't like I think no, never mind. I'm not going to speak on that because I'll be speaking from a place of ignorance if I was to speak there. Anyway, at some point, wait, down here. Each person in the group of migrants traveling to the U.S. in the caravan will have to save up to $9,000, depending on what a cartel will charge to transport them into the U.S. Okay, I already read that paragraph, but whatever. Because single men will immediately be processed, referred for prosecution, and then removed, they typically want to avoid being caught and do not want to request asylum at a port of entry. There's a very effective cartel control mechanism on the south side of the border. So one way or another, I think they'll extract a toll. It may not be the full extent, but one way or another, I think they'll take advantage of the situation, the official said. 80% of asylum cases were not granted in 2017. I think this is kind of setting up a dangerous precedent for a major shitstorm. What do you think, JJ? What have you heard about the Migrant Caravan yourself?
I haven't really heard much about it.
Not much?
I really haven't.
Well, prepare to get educated, my friend. No, I'm kidding. RSC Comic G also says, the reason why Brazil elected him because the citizens realized that limited government and capitalism is the only way to go.
Well, I mean, if he voted for him and doesn't kill communists, then I guess that's a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, as long as he does not, if he's already in a dictatorial position, well, then I cannot blame him for it. I would blame I would blame the past leaders for that more. It's just how Bolsonaro will use his dictatorial, all-encompassing powers that will determine the morality of his character, etc. 1 second here. I'm going to check Strike Force News chat group. Okay, never mind. I don't know. Never mind. All right, continuing on. DHS, well, okay, so this episode of Strike Force is not about Bolsonaro. Maybe I'll have to, like, read into him just a little bit more to get a little bit more educated, but I'm already pretty well lined up here, so we're just going to stay on subject. DHS, over 270 individuals in Caravan have criminal histories, including known gang membership. I mean, this is kind of a small percentage compared to what? It's just like in the tens of thousands of people that is this caravan right here. 270 is like a small percentage in relation to tens of thousands. But still, say if it was like, well, actually, this might be a little bit of a false equivalency, but say if there was like a few dozen ISIS terrorist members that like snuck their way into the Syrian refugee groups to get into the United States. That would still be a pretty dangerous precedent. This, not as dangerous, but still, you have like, you're setting up ourselves for weakness if you accept in a whole bunch of criminals to run amok and start, you know, breaking the law, maybe even killing and raping people, depending on what kind of criminal history we're talking about here. But I think, generally speaking, that anybody with a criminal history will not make a very good citizen, in my opinion. So therefore, do we really want them in the country? Not really. And I can honestly understand our immigration process for if, like, you're still not a naturalized citizen, you're just a legal resident trying to become a citizen, you end up breaking the law. I cannot really blame the government if they do not trust you to become a fruitful citizen at that point. Law-abiding citizen. Over 270 people along the Migrant Caravan route that's headed through Mexico to the United States have criminal histories, including gang membership. Okay, gang membership. That's the kicker right there. Would that include MS-13 or, I don't know. Does MS-13 have connections into Honduras? I'm not so sure. If anybody in the chat wants to mention that, then go ahead by all means.
I think they might. Let me look it up.
The Department of Homeland Security said Thursday. All right. Let's see. Red Feather has 2 more messages. I heard many were bullying the Mexican police, and in turn, the police were putting them on buses headed to the border. On the other hand, I heard many decided to go to Tijuana.
Okay.
Some in the caravan are from Bangladesh somehow. What? Okay. And she said that she doesn't know about MS-13. Go on, JJ.
Okay, so what I see is Honduras's MS-13 a drug trafficking organization? So it seems like Honduras does have MS-13.
Oh, damn. Okay, well then we do not know. Unless we like fully vet these people, we will never know if they are associated with the MS-13 or not. I mean, any other Latin American gang is dangerous enough, but MS-13, yeah, definitely a fuck no, with the way that they just torture and rape people just because, for the fun of it.
And they also seem to be in El Salvador as well.
Damn. Okay. And to what you said there, Red Feather, I think that if the migrants within the caravan are being unruly with the police, that the Mexican police, I mean, that they should deport those people back down to Honduras. I mean, why the ever-living fuck are they putting them on buses to come up our way? This is almost like this is like an aggression from Mexico to the United States, seemingly. Like they're all like, oh, we don't want to deal with these criminals, and Honduras is like a little ways down. But on the other hand, the closest the closest country to take these is the United States. So, hey, send them up there. Fuck you, Mexican police. Don't do that bullshit. MS-13 is horrible. They're animals. That's who they are. RSC Comic G says, yeah, we all know that, RSC. Anyway, continuing on. Additionally, there are individuals from over 20 countries such as Somalia, India, Haiti, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh, DHS said on its website in a fact sheet titled Myth versus Fact Caravan. Okay, so if they're coming from other countries, like, okay, Somalia, pretty dangerous, yes. Afghanistan, well, I don't know if the Afghani war is still going on there, but I think we might have pulled out of Afghanistan finally, so doesn't seem like there's as much of an incentive for people to, like, leave that and just to get into our country illegally. But Somalia, yeah, they're always like having civil war with each other, what I generally hear. It would make sense, pirates. Right? I mean, it would make a little bit more sense if they were so desperate to try to get to a different country like the United States, for example. But still, can you please follow our procedures so that we can like check your background and make sure that you are not a soldier of one of those civil warring factions in Somalia? India, not as much dangerous. I mean, they have a shitty poverty existence there. Shitty, yeah. And by the way, that's pun intended, by the way. But still, it's not like that they are super dangerous dangerous with a bunch of wars happening in there. Haiti, almost the same thing as India. Poverty-stricken, but not so much as war. And Bangladesh, I don't hear much about war happening in Bangladesh either. But either way, all these countries, all the migrants that are like coming from these countries to the caravan to get into the United States, could you please? Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think there's really any true implication that the caravan, that every single person in the caravan is intending to like break the law and illegally coming into here. But still, statement remains. Go through the procedures. Furthermore, DHS said it knows nothing about a large segment of the caravan population. Well, that's a problem there. We continue to be concerned about individuals along the caravan route. In fact, over 270 individuals along the caravan route have criminal histories, including known gang membership. Those include a number of violent criminals. Examples include aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, armed robbery, sexual assault on a child, and assault on a female, DHS said. Yeah. Mexican officials have also publicly stated that criminal groups have infiltrated the caravan. That makes it this situation even more dangerous. We also continue to see individuals from over 20 countries in this flow, from countries such as Somalia, India, Haiti. I do not know why I keep on almost pronouncing it as Haisha. Afghanistan and Bangladesh. There's a large segment of this population that we know nothing about, and we must be prepared to defend our border and enforce our laws to protect the citizens of our country, DHS added. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, even if you have to go so far to like build a wall for future caravans. I mean, obviously, if they will not get the wall built and finished on time before this particular caravan arrives, but for future caravans, I think the wall makes sense. On a fiscal level, that's a little bit of a different story, but still. DHS also noted that on October 29th, the Mexican ambassador to the U.S. reported that some of the caravan members were very violent. Yeah, like, for example, bullying a Mexican police, as Red Feather said in the chat here. Okay, so there's a lot that went down.
Yes, Red Feather, I think it might be. I think India is the most populated Muslim country. Although it's not fully Muslim, it's Muslim and Buddhist.
Right. A lot of Hindu.
And Hindu. Oh, well, yeah. Hindu, Buddhist, and Muslim.
I think Hindu might be the super majority of people there. Kind of the same way that people of some Christian beliefs are like a super majority here in the United States.
Exactly.
What seems silly, Red Feather says in the chat, what seems silly to me is us paying all the Border Patrol officers, and now we are sending the military there. So how much money are we spending right now for border protection? More than the cost of the wall? That is a good point, Red Feather, because here's my thought on the wall. In the short term, it would be cheaper if you just had more border security there down at the border. But in the long term, is the wall going to be cheaper than the manual border security? I would kind of imagine that not being the case. Okay. There's a whole lot of other problems that people address with the wall, and I can address them like one at a time if people mention them, but I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But how did they get to South America from the Middle East in the first place? That is a good question, Red Feather. Are they being helped? There is some suspicions that they're being paid for, but I'm not going to go off on that conspiracy, the George Soros-esque type of conspiracies, because I don't have those types of articles lined up here. But that kind of does raise a red flag of the possibility that that this caravan might be paid for by Soros or someone else, maybe assisted by ISIS terrorist cells, etc. But how did they? Okay. RSE says Asia Bibi is free now, and Pakistan has now gone crazy. They want her head off because she defended her religion. She was sentenced to death 8 years ago. Now she's free. Well, good for her, and good for her for standing up for religious freedom.
Yeah.
Red Feather asks, "Isn't India the most populated Muslim country?" Okay, you already answered that. Yeah, fuck that. We have enough domestic criminals to deal with as it is. Yeah,
Yep.
that's my thing with immigration. I don't want to be dealing with other countries' criminals when we already have that situation ourselves. But unfortunately, these open border advocates cannot get that part.
Because they're mostly stupid.
Yeah. I mean, say, for example, some far leftists that support Antifa and absolutely hate Nazis to the point of wanting to, like, beat them, maybe even to death. I mean, say, for example, you have Antifa land versus Nazi land. Are you just going to leave your borders wide open for any Nazi to waltz right into your country? I
But
mean, if you
Zach,
say yes to that, you are, like, self-destructive to your own beliefs there, sir,
but
or ma'am,
Zach,
or non-gender, or non-binary pronoun. Yes, JJ?
but Zach, don't forget they're people too.
Yeah,
Oh my! I think they're gonna be very hypocritical about their shit. So honestly, they'd say, everybody with the murderous Muslims, yeah, that's fine, but no Nazis.
I don't think anybody has actually posed that to a far leftist yet. Like, what if Antifa land was set up to some neo-Nazi-esque type of country? Are you just going to have open borders for any neo-Nazi and neo-Nazi-esque person from that country to just waltz into your country? I don't think I heard anybody like espouse that question to Owen or anyone like that.
Ooh, I wanna have a debate with Owen and say that to him now.
um, because those people are their voters, says Red Feather. Ah, yes. You're talking about the Democrats. That makes sense on their part, at least. Hey, now, straight white males are not people unless they are a feminist.
And they're castrated.
Yeah, male feminist, or wearing a cock cage.
Zach, we all know what you're into. Don't need to spout it out.
Hey! I'm just saying what they're into. You dipshit. RSE says, I can't tell the difference between a Nazi and an anti-fascist. They're both socialists. Yeah, that's a tangent I'm not going to get into. But anyway. Unfortunately, some of the people in the caravan, okay, I'm just going to say it right now. I think that anti-fascists at least fully believe in socialism. Nazis, not so much. I
They
mean,
believe in fascism.
even the effeminate degenerate, even Lapis agreed with 40 Ounce in her debate with him that it's safe to say that Hitler, for example, and the Nazi Party did not have any true economic anchor. They just would have chosen any economic policy that suited their interest best. Say, for example, if they wanted to like push some kind of plutocracy to push their white Aryan supremacist agenda, they'll take that route. But if socialism is going to be the best way to help push their white Aryan supremacist agenda, well, then they'll go for that. But I mean, I would have to like actually analyze what Germany was back in the 1940s because I hear people keep on arguing that and playing political hot potato with whether or not Hitler was a socialist or not, or a capitalist. But that's another side tangent that gets even deeper into the rabbit hole that I'm not going to get into. Anyway, continuing on with the subject here. Unfortunately, some of the people in the caravan have been very violent against authority, even though they have offered the possibility of entering in compliance with immigration law and refugee status, the Mexican ambassador said. Furthermore, in Guatemala, excuse me. Furthermore, in Guatemala, some criminals have paid women to move to the front of the caravan so they can be used as human shields when the caravan pushes against the Guatemalan military.
Wow.
That's real Weasley. That's kind of the same bullshit that that Hassan of Palestine pulls. Like, we have these women and children here. Don't shoot us unless you want to look like monsters. That's kind of the same tactic that they seem to be pulling here as well. Do not shoot these women or else you'll look like monsters. Oh boy, this is going to turn into like a real political fire rod.
In war, there is always going to be casualties like that, but it's always which has a better outcome.
Yeah, you try to minimize unnecessary death as much as possible.
You try to, but sometimes you end up having to kill a little more to save more people in the long run.
Well, that's a pretty somber note. Anyway,
It's war.
Furthermore, in Guatemala, some criminals, I already read that paragraph. I have videos from Guatemala that show men dressed in identical clothing, sporting the same haircuts, handing out money to women to persuade them to move to the front of the caravan. Wait, what? I'm confused here. Are the men dressing up as the women or the women dressing up as the men? I think this makes this subject a little bit more jaded if you have people like dressing in drag. And I say dressing in drag because I don't think their agenda or their intent is to like go for gender transition. They're like literal cisgender males or females like just looking to pose as the opposite sex.
You hear that, Owen? He's not transphobic.
Yes, there's no legitimate transgenderism going on here from what I can tell. So anyway, and besides that, I think a third world country people, that's one of the least of their concerns is, can I get my gender transition? First, they want to like get into some first world country so that and then they can cross that bridge when they come to it. If they really have that, question in their head, am I male or female? Anyway, we know for a fact that some members of the caravan threatened Mexican Migration Institute personnel, and we have images showing many of them preparing Molotov cocktails. Oh, boy. Mexico's Interior Minister Navarrete Prida said Tuesday on a local radio station, Radio Enfoque. Okay. They're preparing Molotov cocktails. Are they loading for like war against the border patrol of the United States here? This is like brewing into like a major storm right here. Shit storm. As far as the makeup of the caravan, DHS said the caravan isn't mostly women and children. In fact, 50% are single adults. Well, Washington Examiner says the number is much higher than that, but anyway. According to reports on the ground from the United States foreign partners. Hold on. I'm just going to see for a second here which article came out first, November 2nd and October 30th. So, I don't know. Maybe the numbers that CNS News here is posing is like a little bit more accurate, but still, that's like a high percentage of single adults to be accepting this caravan just blanketly. I mean, especially with all the other shit that's being tied to us, like possible gang members and other criminal organization members that are being associated and mixed up with this caravan.
Okay, so here's some comments from Red Feather and RSC. Okay. Unless you're Islamic, then you strap bombs to women and children.
Oh boy.
True. And RSC said, read Vampire Economy. Doing Business Under Fascism. That's a great book that was published in 1939 that gives you a feel how the economy was like in fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. And Red Feather also said, I heard the Mexican government offered some housing and healthcare, and they refused.
Well, surprise on that point. You know, I'm just going to like put the responsibility on you to like monitor the chat for right now, JJ.
Okay.
So that I don't have to like go back and forth here. But anyway, I mean, just read like the really interesting chat comments, like not every single chat comment that goes on there.
Yeah, I won't.
And if there's something like that's particularly funny, go ahead and read it. Not anything that's just mildly funny, like the old repeated saying of JJ likes trannies.
I'm not gonna repeat that shit ever again.
Frozen Binary Studio makes me question my sexuality. Okay. Anyway. The Guatemalan... Okay. I already read that paragraph, so this paragraph is next. The Guatemalan intel minister said that the caravan is employing tactics to push women and children to the front to act as human shields as the caravan pushes against its military forces, DHS stated. The caravan is expected to arrive between 4 days and 2 weeks from October 31st, depending on the mode of transportation and whether they make any prolonged stops. The U.S. military is deploying 5,200 troops to the border as part of Operation Faithful Patriot, and in addition to the 2,000 National Guardmen already there for Operation Guardian Support to help Customs and Border Protection, CBP. So this is like happening a little bit sooner than I originally thought it was going to be. For some reason, I thought it was going to happen sometime next year, but guess I'm wrong. Anyway, the potential for large groups who have already showed a propensity to using violence to achieve its objective presents a unique safety threat to our nation and Border Patrol personnel, as well as to the security of the American people, DHS said. As to whether the caravan will be let into the U.S., DHS said, we will not allow a large group of illegal migrants attempt to enter into the United States if they have no lawful right to gain entry. Those who qualify for asylum will be protected, while those who just want jobs or to reunify with family members do not qualify for asylum. If they have no lawful... Okay, wait. Sorry, I'm going to reread those two paragraphs. As to whether the caravan will be let into the U.S., DHS said, we will not allow a large group of illegal migrants attempt to enter into the United States if they have no lawful right to gain entry. Anyway. Those who qualify for asylum will be protected, while those who just want jobs or to reunify with family members do not qualify for asylum. Yeah, I do not know what the entire process is for qualifying for asylum is, but that's a little bit of a different tangent on its own. Dang it. Anyway, this browser is jumping me all around. So anyway, U.S. General. So this from Reuters. U.S. Okay, what were you wanting to say, JJ?
Oh, it's just RC had something pretty interesting to say. The problem with immigration is that 70% of Hispanics are on welfare. Back then, immigrants were sucking the government's dick.
All right. I mean, I do not know of how high a percentage it is, but I definitely know that it is a higher percentage of people, of illegal immigrants who are taking welfare than what leftists like to put it out to be.
And I'll read about red feathers whenever we're done with that topic. Done with this topic. It's off topic.
Okay. U.S. General says troop numbers at Mexican border to rise further. Washington, Reuters. The top U.S. general overseeing a deployment of more than 5,200 troops to the border with Mexico said on Tuesday that troop levels would rise further, but declined to say how high or estimate what the operation will cost. Many basic questions remain unanswered a day after the Pentagon announced the open-ended deployment of over 5,200 active duty troops to the border, including the scope of the mission as well as the Pentagon's assessment of any threat posed by arriving migrants. President Donald Trump has hardened his stance on immigration ahead of the November 6th congressional elections. He has drawn attention to a caravan of migrants that is trekking through Mexico toward the United States as he seeks to fire up support for his Republican Party, which is facing some tough battles as Democrats seek to wrest control of the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate. Not so much the Senate, but I generally hear that the House of Representatives is looking kind of weak for reps. But anyway, he says hardening his stance on immigration. Yeah, because for the first 2 years of his presidency, he seemed to have been kind of weak in regards to the wall. But now it's a little bit too late to get the wall up on time before this caravan can arrive. And my only guess is that he was weakening his position on the wall mostly to try and get along with typical establishment DC politicians and some people on the left. Anyway. Republican lawmakers and other Trump supporters have applauded the deployment, but critics say Trump is politicizing the military. Okay. There's the only Okay. I'm trying to find the exact words. I'm trying to find the exact words to respond to this. Politicizing the military. No, he's using the military for legitimate protection here. I mean, especially going by off of this article, this is like a very dangerous mix of people here. Yes, not every single one of the people in this caravan like legitimately seek to do harm, but a whole lot of them are associated with are in association with gangs, MS-13, for example, etc. So this is for protection. This is not about politicizing the military, dumbass. Deploying them as a stunt to drive Republican voters to the polls without any real national security threat. Oh, fuck off.
People are stupid as hell.
I have a feeling that this article, or at least the things said in this article, is going to get me heated. Like, I'm not going to blame Reuters or anything, but Reuters is just quoting the people actually saying this shit. General Terrence O'Shaughnessy. Okay, and I also have to add, if this ends up also, like, as a byproduct, if this also ends up in Trump gaining more support from across the country, well, then who cares? I mean, ultimately, you should be focusing on the fact that he is using the military to protect people at the border from getting mugged by all the gang members within this caravan. Deploying them. Okay. General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, the head of U.S. Northern Command, defended the operation at a briefing on Tuesday. He echoed Trump administration concerns about the caravan and compared the border support mission to other domestic military missions like hurricane relief. I firmly believe that the border security is national security. Thank you, Mr. O'Shaughnessy. The U.S. military still had no firm idea of what the operation would cost, he added. Pentagon officials have said the Defense Department will need to find a way to pay for the operation, suggesting money may need to be taken from other national security programs, like perhaps foreign aid and other like country interventionisms, maybe, because this should probably take higher priority. No. Scratch that. It should take higher priority than like maintaining Syria, or I don't know, or any other bullshit like that, for example. O'Shaughnessy said that just over 1,000 troops had deployed to Texas as of Tuesday, where they will carry out tasks like building barriers, erecting tents, and flying government personnel by helicopter to and from different locations along the border. He said the troops now slated to go to Texas, Arizona, and California were only the start of a larger deployment, and that eventually troops would go to New Mexico as well. What I can confirm is there will be additional force over, excuse me, let me reread that. What I can confirm is there will be additional forces over and above the 5,239. The magnitude of that difference, I don't have the answer for now, he said. The projected U.S. deployment is already roughly the same size as the U.S. military contingent in Iraq. In Iraq currently, or are you talking about in the past? I don't know. Be a little bit more specific, because we've been in Iraq so many times. I mean, as far as I know, last I heard, we have been pulled out of Iraq.
Anyway. Which is good.
Trump railed against illegal immigration to win the 2016 presidential election and has seized on the caravan of Central American migrants at campaign rallies in the run-up to next week's vote. Trump has characterized the migrants as an invasion and falsely stated they harbor terrorists and are financed in part by Democrats. Wait, whoa. Trump has characterized the migrants as an invasion and falsely stated they harbor terrorists and are financed in part by Democrats. Do you know that for absolute certain? I mean, Trump might be a little bit overly assumptuous, maybe, but they're like, you were having like migrants from other countries coming into this caravan. Who knows what their origins are? You do not know for absolute certain. And plus, the over 270 individuals that have criminal histories and are gang members, some of them are. You're kind of really watering down the danger of this, Reuters. O'Shaughnessy declined to comment on intelligence about the caravan when asked whether there were terrorists among the migrants. He said the caravan was different than those seen by the United States in the past, adding that they were better organized. Right. When was this posted again? I have to see this. October 30th, 2018. So this is like fairly recent. November 2nd. So I don't know. Maybe I can like partially forgive Reuters because of the timeline here. Because this CNS News article has come out like 3 days after this Reuters article. All right. And as far as O'Shaughnessy declining to comment on intelligence about the caravan, when asked if there were terrorists among the migrants, I think that's good on his part because, again, we do not know for absolute certain if there is terrorists or not, but you can never be sure. And until we actually vet every single individual in this caravan, we cannot just blanketly accept them with open arms, especially when they're coming from the likes of Afghanistan and Somalia, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen violence coming out of the caravan, O'Shaughnessy said. Yes. I mean, even if, say, for example, some of these people do not have criminal histories, like what percentage of the people in the caravan, despite not having a criminal history in their own countries, what percentage of them is actually commencing this violence against the Mexican police, for example? Mexico's government said on Tuesday that it had deported 2 Honduran men for whom had arrest warrants back home. One for homicide, the other for drug-related offense. Oh, God. Apparently, they could not arrest the other 268. The 2 men, ages 21 and 47, crossed into Mexico with the migrant caravan in the state of Chiapas. Kevin McAllenan, however you pronounce that, Kevin McAllenan, the U.S. Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, estimated on Monday that the caravan was comprised of about 3,500 migrants. Okay, so it's not in the tens of thousands. So what I said earlier during the stream about there being tens of thousands in this caravan, I retract that statement. Okay, so yeah, 3,500 to over 270. So it's almost, the percentage is a little bit higher than I originally thought. But I'm glad to have read that to be informed better on what the numbers actually are. Anything in the chat, JJ?
Yeah, there's quite a few actually. Red Feather said, "This is off topic, but the pic of Christine Blasey Ford around me for the Kavanaugh accusers have admitted their stories were false."
Yeah. I mean, at least Julie Swesnick, I know, is being prosecuted for that. I don't know about Christine Blasey Ford. In fact, yesterday I was on my 2 Cents own live stream, and somebody on there, I can't remember if it was 2 Cents himself or one of his other patrons acting as a co-host, who said this, but one of them stated that she is becoming like basically a baby millionaire from the money that she raised from smearing Kavanaugh.
Yeah, I think Christine Blasey Ford admitted that it was fake, but don't quote me on it because I might be wrong.
Okay, that would be interesting if we could find an article talking about that. All right. Migrant wants U.S. to pardon him for attempted murder. Now, this story right here is a little bit more anecdotal, but still, anecdotes are like fun to comment on still, in my opinion. A member of the Migrant Caravan headed to the U.S. border admitted that he's coming to the United States in hopes of being pardoned for attempted murder. Okay. The first impression that I got of this article after reading the title, I'm thinking to myself, be pardoned by your own damn country. It's not our own responsibility to pardon you of your crimes that you committed in Honduras or whatever other country that you came from. For crying out loud. In an interview this week with Fox News, a member of the Migrant Caravan from A member of the Migrant Caravan from Honduras named Jose spoke to Fox News reporter Griff Jenkins about why he's traveling to the United States. Okay, so yeah, Fox News is not very credible, but when it comes to these interviews, unless you can actually prove that the person is a freaking plant or something, then the interviews are a little bit more easy to believe than the commentaries of the co-hosts or of the news hosts.
This
news
is plant.
Reporters. What?
This is plant.
Oh, yeah. You're remembering that video I made.
Yep.
Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, good luck trying to get into the country in the first place to be pardoned of your murder. I mean, if it was totally up to me, I would totally not accept you from the start because of your murderous history, your apparent murderous history. Sorry,
He also doesn't look like he's right in the head either.
The guy on the left? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's mentally there in the right place.
He does look like he's falling asleep or something at the mic. Hey, here, let's well, actually, okay, is this just a transcript or never mind. I'm going to read this and then I guess we'll watch the video very quickly. With the help of a translator, Jose said he's hoping to get a pardon in the U.S. after committing attempted murder. Okay, so it's only attempted murder, something that we should all keep in mind, by the way. But still, if you attempted murder, I don't think you're going to be a very law-abiding citizen. So why would I want you in my country? In my country, Honduras, I got in trouble, Jose said. He told the translator that he was guilty of a third-degree felony. He further specified attempted murder. President Donald Trump pointed it out during a rally in Columbia, Montana, or is that Missouri? No, it's Missouri. My bad. MO stands for Missouri. The thing that helped click it is that I saw the name Claire McCaskill right next to Missouri, and I don't know all my state abbreviations that well, people. Can you freaking blame me? No.
Okay, Red Feather did say I don't think Ford was one of the ones that said that they yeah.
Okay. You saying Red Feather was kind of correcting you somewhat?
Yeah. She said I don't think Blasey Ford admitted that she lied, because if she did, she admitted she would have been charged with a felony.
It was some other chick. There's at least 3 others. Christine Blasey Ford, Julie Swetnick, however you pronounce her last name, and then some third bitch that I can't remember. And yes, I'm using the word bitch because any woman who is going to slander and drag through the mud somebody's name just for political points is an utter psycho, I would say, an utter sociopath, and fully deserves the name bitch, the title bitch.
She's a cocksucking whore.
Yeah, or something like that. President Donald Trump pointed it out during a rally in Columbia, Missouri, saying that a migrant said he committed murder but wants a pardon. Fuck your pardon. Get it from your own country.
Then try to come back.
Before we try to take you. First, the president explained that incumbent Senator Claire McCaskill, Democrat in Missouri, who was running against Republican Josh Hawley, however you pronounce that, voted against Kate's law, named after 32-year-old Kate Steinle, who was shot and killed by an illegal immigrant. Oh, God. I mean, I don't see of how... okay, I do not know Kate's law specifically, but if I am, getting the implication here in this paragraph, right, Kate's law would be to, is essentially, oh, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's to try to reassure that we do not get so many of these people with felony backgrounds into the country. How is that so controversial? How is the idea of that so controversial? I do not know if Kate's law is specifically for that, but assuming that it is, how is that controversial? Somebody tell me. Claire McCaskill voted no on Kate's law. She voted no on enhanced vetting for refugees. Oh, fuck you. We want to make sure that none of them are terrorists, for crying out loud. You don't vet them at all. You will not know of what the background is. I mean, who knows who or what you're going to let in the country if you do not vet the refugees that you take in. This is utter stupidity and government incompetence. Just let them come in, folks. Let them come in. Did you see the guy today? They interviewed him. I put it on social media because I'm being nice, and they said, well, what do you want? The president explained. Well, I want a pardon. I want a pardon. Trump recounted the migrant saying, the woman, she's like this reporter, I guess, an innocent, nice. Oh, you want a pardon? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? The president said, murder, murder, homicide, something. What did you do? Murder. Oh, excuse me. Bit of gas there. This is one of the people in the caravan, by the way. What did you do? Murder. You want a pardon? Can you believe what's going on in this country? But we're getting it changed. This big ship is turning a lot faster than anyone thought possible, Trump added. Okay, that was a little bit hard to read there, but what can you expect from Trump's 3-year-old grammar? Anyway, moving on. So, transitioning from the caravan to talking about birthright citizenship, because that's one of the small issues that also got brought up lately. Like Paul Ryan is speaking to Trump. You cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. And generally speaking, I disapprove of executive orders. I mean, unless it's an executive order to repeal some past president's executive order, then I can understand that executive order a little bit better. So maybe, arguably, I should not give a blanket disapproval of all executive orders, but generally speaking, I'm against it. So that's the main reason why I'm having it here, because I disapproved of some of Trump's executive orders before, and here he's doing another one. Then there's this article that's responding to the whole thing about birthright citizenship from National Review, talking about the 14th Amendment does not mandate birthright citizenship. So that should be interesting. Anything new in the chat, JJ? More specifically related to the subjects we're talking about?
Not really. Except for the past one where he said, what if the circumstance of the murder was self-defense?
What? Really?
Yeah, about the last one.
It was self-defense.
No, she said, what if the circumstances of the murder was self-defense?
Oh, my bad. Okay, I misheard what you were saying there, JJ. That's my bad. Anyway, if the circumstance of the murder is self-defense, well then, that is definitely a flaw on their own country to be defining self-defense as a murder. If the dude really was self-defending himself from this, I think the article said that it was a woman he murdered or something, then it's more understandable for me to accept them. But still, we do not know for absolute certain, because we have not gotten to the step of vetting these the people within this caravan yet. Anyway, moving on. Paul Ryan breaks with Trump. You cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. House Speaker Paul Ryan said Tuesday he doesn't believe President Trump will be able to end birthright citizenship in the United States by issuing an executive order, a step Trump said he was considering. You obviously cannot do that. You cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. Ryan, Republican of Wisconsin, said in an interview with WVLK, a station based in Lexington, Kentucky. Okay, will you go into further detail, Paul? I mean, I hope somebody gets into further detail. Otherwise, this article is like a substance, pretty much, except for it's just reporting the I guess somebody could see spinelessness of Paul Ryan. Many have argued Trump can't undo birthright citizenship that easily because that right is in the Constitution. Okay, so there's the substance, which we'll get into in the next article, which would have to be amended. Regardless, Ryan said it would be hypocritical for conservatives to back Trump's approach after complaining about former President Barack Obama, who used executive orders and actions to push his immigration agenda through after Congress refused to act. Under Obama, the Department of Homeland Security created the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DACA program, which provides people who are illegally residing in the country and arrive before the age of 18 work permits and freedom from deportation. The program has accepted 700,000 enrollees since 2012, but the Trump administration rescinded it in September 2017, saying it was illegitimate because only Congress could determine immigration levels, not the executive branch. And that's one example that I think excuse me. That's one example of an executive order that I can definitely understand being legal, because you're like overturning the illegal actions of a past president, pushing through an unconstitutional executive order beforehand. Anyway, we didn't like it when Obama tried changing immigration laws via executive action, and obviously, as conservatives, we believe in the Constitution, Ryan said Tuesday. I think in this case, the 14th Amendment is pretty clear, and that would involve a very, very lengthy constitutional process. But where we obviously totally agree with the president is getting at the root issue here, which is unchecked illegal immigration. Yeah, Ryan, you were like one of the Republicans during the Obama years that pushed for amnesty. So those are empty words coming from you, in all honesty.
Red Feather said in the chat, Kate's law was put into place because the guy who shot Kate was an undocumented immigrant who had been deported 5 times prior.
Okay. So if I'm understanding Kate's law correctly, it's supposed to prevent, I don't know. I would have to actually research it to fully understand it. Right now, I'm just running on autopilot because I'm already getting tired of all these articles and I still have a lot more to go. Although Republicans do not agree with Trump's proposed method, Ryan said they are in agreement that certain laws need a smarter, faster solution to crack down on illegal immigration. The House and Senate have had GOP majorities through Trump's first 21 months in Congress. And yet you still weren't able to get the wall funding through. I mean, disagree or agree with the wall all you want, but still that's their own agenda, but yet they're being pushovers for the Democrats on this issue, on that issue. The U.S. is one of 30 countries out of the total 194 that recognize a baby born within its borders as a citizen, even if his or her parents are non-citizens, whether by a parent on a temporary visa or illegally in the country. Okay, as far as birthright citizenship goes, here's my stance. If you are like a child who was born into the country, but your parents illegally immigrated into the country, I think if you are still a child that you should be deported with your parents. Like your parents broke the law, they need to be punished, and we are not going to create orphans by doing this. So to prevent the creation of orphans, you deport the child with their parents. But say if, for example, the parents illegally immigrate and then the child grows up to be a full-grown adult, then it's more understandable, to me at least, if you are to allow that full-grown adult who is born in the country from illegally immigrated parents, it's more understandable that you be legally here, or that the law would see you legally here. Anyway, the 14th Amendment does not mandate birthright citizenship. Yeah, and just as I state that, I have an article here that is going to go in conflict with what I just stated. So let's see if this article can truly convince me on that principle. I mean, even if this article can make the case that according to the 14th Amendment, it does not guarantee birthright citizenship, that kind of doesn't, that overall does not negate the principle, the personal principle that I have when it comes to birthright citizenship. It was about removing vestiges of slavery, not regulating aliens. Shortly after the Constitution went into effect, the first Congress enacted a naturalization law. Lawmakers superseded this statute just 5 years later. Both provisions derived from the Constitution's grant to the legislature in Article 1, Section 8 of the power to establish an uniform, I cannot say that, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. That grant, along with these naturalization statutes of 1790 and 1795, edifies us about the framers' conception conception of citizenship and of the status of aliens and their children. All right. Status questions about the children of aliens have moved to the fore in recent months. Central Americans noticed by laws that perversely incentivize illegal immigration have sought entry en masse at our southern border. This week, with an oncoming caravan of migrants galvanizing President Trump's base on the eve of the midterm elections. These questions have stoked a heated debate with all the shop-worn smears of racism and bad faith that are now staples of American public discourse. Yeah, that's one thing that I can say that both me and my co-hosts here are getting sick of, is just crying racism as soon as a person like merely disagrees with you.
Yep.
In campaign mode, the president floated the idea of issuing an executive order that would purport to deny birthright citizenship, i.e. to end the policy of granting American citizenship to children born in the United States to alien parents who are not legally present here. I highlight purport and policy because the president's opponents counter that these newborn children of illegal aliens are granted citizenship by the Constitution, specifically by the 14th Amendment. Therefore, the argument goes, this grant of citizenship is not a mere policy, but a command of the highest law of the land, that being the Constitution. It may not be reversed by an executive order, or even by a law of Congress. The branch empowered to set the terms of citizenship. But the Congress can still, amend the Constitution to either take down or add a new amendment to, the Constitution. So I don't see of what the big point there is, but anyway, close that. I want to just see of how much longer this article goes. Oh, God. It goes on for a little bit. But we'll try to get through as much of it as we can.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Did somebody say that in the chat?
No, me.
I'm sorry. I know I'm getting kind of rambly.
It's fine.
That is a lot of weight to put on an amendment that had nothing to do with regulating aliens. An amendment ratified in 1868, a time when there was no federal law contempt of illegal aliens. State responsibility. Rarely noticed in our era of the Beltway behemoth is how sparse the Constitution is on the matter of central government power over aliens. The Naturalization Clause is the beginning and the end of it. Congress was given the power to prescribe what aliens needed to do to become Americans, but there is not a word in the Constitution about law enforcement, nothing about which aliens would be allowed into the country or on what conditions they would be permitted to stay. Why is that? Because such matters were understood to be state responsibilities. The Constitution prescribes a federal arrangement in which the states retain sovereignty. The states had control over their internal affairs, like the handling of illegal immigrants, for example, whether they wanted to deport them or just, try and negotiate to keep them in. And that's one of the battles that was happening during the Obama years, is that they'd be suing Arizona and Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Now, I do not know all the controversies of Joe Arpaio, and I'm not trying to full out defend him, but still, that's one example of the internal fights that the federal government would have with states' rights, or state powers more specifically. From the founding through most of the 19th century, that was understood to include deciding which non-Americans would be permitted in their territories. America was vast, unsettled, and expanding ever westward. People were needed to fill it, and in the 1800s, aliens came to do just that. Excuse me. First in dribs and drabs, and then beginning in the 1840s in droves. But as University of Massachusetts immigration scholar Vincent J. Canato recounted in a comprehensive 2012 National Affairs essay, it was not until 1891, at the dawn of the progressive era, after years of urging by the federal courts and some statutory fits and starts, that Congress finally asserted federal control over immigration regulation and enforcement. Indeed, Ellis Island opened in 1892, essentially as a station charged with carrying out the 1891 Immigration Act. This is a rich transitional history. I've described it only briefly here to make the point that the 14th Amendment was utterly unrelated to the challenge and complexities of immigration law enforcement. 1 second. Just, all right. I don't know. I think I'll try to, like, get through the rest of this article. Or how long are the rest of the articles? I also have an article talking about... Actually, no. I think I might just cut out the one article talking about how Trump is, like, mourning the fallen lost souls of the Pittsburgh shooting. Because it's what the longest of all these articles, for one. And secondly, it seems kind of, I don't know, nonpartisan. Anyway. 14th Amendment, taking aim at the vestiges of slavery. Although I will at least link that article down in the description below if anyone else wants to read it for themselves. Again, the 14th Amendment was enacted in 1868, nearly a quarter century before the federal government seized control of immigration regulation from the states. The driving objective of the amendment was to shore up deficiencies of the 13th Amendment. Though it had formally abolished slavery upon its 1865 adoption, the 13th Amendment failed to prevent the states from denying black former slaves the privileges and immunities of citizenship. Right. As University of Texas Law School professor Lino Greglia has explained, Congress attempted to address this shameful situation by enacting the Civil Rights Act of 1866. President Andrew Johnson's veto of the measure was overridden, but it heightened uncertainty about Congress's authority to act. The purpose of the 14th Amendment was to remove all doubt. Yeah, and just go ahead and just say that all blacks within this country are now citizens. That is me adding my 2 cents, by the way. That is the main point. The 14th Amendment was meant to ensure that the necessary relief for former slaves could not be undone by subsequent Congresses or court decisions. As we shall come to, the Supreme Court later resorted to the 14th Amendment in order to address an injustice done to an adult child of migrants under the noxious Chinese Exclusion Act. The court, however, was wrong to do so, certainly, to the extent that its ruling can be read and has been read to usurp Congress's constitutional power to prescribe citizenship qualifications for children born in the United States of aliens who are not legally here. The 14th Amendment was about black people enslaved in America for generations. It was not about aliens transiting America illegally. In debating birthright citizenship and assuming based on the Supreme Court's ruling that the 14th Amendment was intended to speak to the issue, we have focused on the first sentence of the amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Okay. I'm starting to wonder as to what the case from National Review here is going to be on that, because I am plainly reading that does seem to say that people born in the United States, it does not specify citizen or non-citizen, are subject to the jurisdiction and are citizens of the United States. All right. Oh, I see. There's been nothing new in the chat for a while, it seems. I'm just seeing now. 1 second. I had to get a sip of water there. I'm starting to get parched. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, or what? I already read that one. Patently, this had nothing to do with the illegal aliens or their children. To repeat, there was no federal concept of illegal alien at the time. Okay, but there currently is. They're almost... I mean, you know of how people like to... Okay. Have you recall the argument, JJ, that people say that the Founding Fathers had no perception of AR-15, so therefore they were not meaning to include those in the Second Amendment?
Yep.
That almost seems to be roughly the same argument here held out by National Review in regards to, like, children of illegals here. Like, the framers had no perception of what an illegal alien is. So therefore, because they did not know of that, we're going to like give our own translation to this amendment to mean that it does not include children of illegal aliens born in the country. So it seems to run in the same vein of that irony.
Yeah, so not only are the left-wing retarded gun takers doing this shit, but also right-wing anti-immigration people are with that as well.
Seems that way, but I'm still going to like play ball with this article. Maybe they can like make some more convincing case. There would, moreover, have been no reason to amend the Constitution for the purpose of dictating the status of the children of aliens. Okay, but if you want to get into amendments, then push for Congress to amend the Constitution instead of. But until then, you cannot like give your own interpretation of the Constitution when it says in plain that persons born in the United States are citizens.
If you're born in the country, you're automatically a citizen. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I almost wish that we had more co-hosts to like give their 2 cents on this, because it's almost like proven to be a little bit difficult for me to digest. And speaking of which, Loudmouth said that he wasn't available for one thing because he was away from his computer, and Aspie said that he was having lunch right now with his parents. So, and S-Man hasn't. He saw the link, but he hasn't seen the message of me asking, "Hey, do you want to come in, S-Man?" But I'm glad that you at least have came in, JJ.
Yeah, I didn't get in until like 30 minutes in because I was busy doing other stuff today.
30 minutes is like 30 seconds in.
No, like you sent it around like 2:16. I didn't get to like 2:40.
Oh, that was probably of when that I had like set up the stream, but I actually went live at about 2:40 or 3 or something like that.
All right, I'll be back in a second.
In fact, when you came in, I was just greeting the audience. Anyway, Red Feather says in the chat, I think Trump is talking about illegal immigrants. The 14th Amendment has 5 sections. That's the main thing that Trump is talking about, is illegal immigrants or potential illegal immigrants. I mean, as far as like children of illegal immigrants who have birthright citizenship, that's like, to me, that seems to be secondary on Trump's list of priorities when it comes to immigration.
Yeah.
The 14th Amendment has 5 sections, right? There would, moreover, have been no reason to amend the Constitution for the purpose of dictating the status of the children of aliens. Congress had that covered. Its Article 1 power to prescribe terms of citizenship for aliens had never been in dispute. As noted as the start of this essay, Congress had been exercising that power since shortly after the Constitution went into effect. The status of children of aliens was not a national issue. So it's like they're implying here that the individual states, determine what is to be done and how to classify these birthright citizenship dreamers. Yeah, dreamers. That's what they're called. Just so that I can like avoid a word salad and getting all wordy with the determining the title of these children. Just call them dreamers. Basically what they are. Anyway.
Basically.
Unlike slavery, over which the nation nearly dissolved, it was not a subject of such nationwide concern that it could drive the Constitution's arduous amendment process. The rest of the 14th Amendment's first clause makes crystal clear that the amendment had nothing to do with aliens trying to settle in the country. Its objective was to prohibit several of the outrages that black people in America for over 2 centuries had been made to suffer. All right, so maybe this will be the kicker quote right here. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Okay, still not covering dreamers yet. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Crystal clear, huh? I did not see the crystal clearness of that. An illegal alien is already violating law, so they are not citizens. And not under jurisdiction of the country. Illegal. An illegal alien is already violating law, so they are not citizens. Well, I don't see what the point there is really, Red Feather, because there are like actual naturalized or born citizens in the United States who end up violating the law as well, but that does not necessarily negate their citizenship automatically. As far as dreamers go, they are not the ones actively violating the law. The parents of the dreamers are the ones violating the law. And they were like illegal aliens already before they had broke any other laws. By the moment that they broke the very first law, that being no coming into the country without permission, that was when that they're not citizens. But anyway, but they were never technically citizens to begin with, says Red Feather. Then tell me, Red Feather, how do you translate this quote right here? I'm interested, legitimately. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Anyway, while she goes responding to that, I'm going to be continuing this article. Let's return to the first sentence. The word jurisdiction is, of course, critical to the amendment's proviso that only persons subject to the jurisdiction of the United States become citizens if born here. Jurisdiction is a variegated term, contrary to the insistence of birthright citizenship proponents.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just some low-level grammar dumbass that is not able to comprehend that statement right there. And it utterly debunks the narrative that I'm thinking is true. But still. Anyway. Red Feather says you have to be a legal resident to be under jurisdiction. I mean, aren't illegal immigrants already under jurisdiction in how we process them and whether or not we deport them, etc.? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to avoid coming off as disrespectful to Red Feather, so I'm responding to her in the chat. Anyway. Contrary to the insistence of birthright citizenship proponents, it does not always and simply mean anyone who is subject to our laws, which would encompass virtually everyone who steps foot on our territory. Step foot. The thing is, they did not merely step foot on the country. They were born in the country.
Yeah. They were birthed in this country.
I mean, yeah, if they're like a soldier from a foreign country coming in to try and carry out the orders of their general to conquer land, I mean, obviously that means that they do not follow under this criteria right here. Or if they are like a full-grown adult that's just belligerent of our laws, then yeah, that as well obviously does not fall under this amendment. But we're talking about people who are born in the United States. So I don't see what point you're trying to make there within that paragraph, Mr. Who is the person who wrote this?
Mr. Man.
Mr. Andrew McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy. That name sounds familiar. I don't know.
Zach,
Mr.
are you assuming
McCarthy?
someone's gender?
Is Andrew not a dude's name? Yes, I assume their gender because, unfortunately, for all the far leftists, the supermajority of people are still male and female, and not non-binary.
Not only that, non-binary doesn't exist.
Anyway, I mean, go ahead and play out your fantasy gender all you want, but it doesn't mean that the rest of society is going to believe that.
So in other words, go fuck yourself.
Anyway, as Professor Greglia elaborates, the principal authors of the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the 14th Amendment, Senators Lyman Trumbull of Illinois and Jacob Howard of Ohio, elucidated the meaning of jurisdiction in those provisions. The point was to stress complete jurisdiction, as in not owing allegiance to anybody else. Why? Because Congress's objective was to deal with a unique historical problem, the status of black people who had been in America for generations, bore allegiance to its sovereign power and the burdens of its laws, but were being denied citizenship and its attributes. This, indeed, was exactly how the Supreme Court saw the matter 18 years later when, in Elk v. Wilkins, 1884, it denied birthright citizenship to the American-born adult child of members of an Indian tribe, observing that the point of the 14th Amendment was to settle the question of citizenship for black former slaves and adopting the reasoning of Trumbull and Howard that 14th Amendment jurisdiction meant complete jurisdiction. Now, this is all interesting, but I'm not seeing the kicker point as to how that dreamers are not like, don't have birthright citizenship. Now, don't get me wrong here, people. I'm not an utter open borders advocate, and I'm not for blanket amnesty for everybody who is like illegally in the country. But I'm going off of this statement right here. I'm a constitutionalist. I mean, I have my principles first, and then the Constitution comes to a very, very close second on my own personal principles. And so just going off of that, going off of what the Constitution is saying here, I'm finding the argument here from the National Review kind of hard to buy. I mean, just from an objective standpoint here. The amendment was designed to bring blacks formally into the American fold without purporting to affect the status of others who were regarded as non-Americans because they actually were non-Americans. Foreign diplomats and their families, Indian tribes, and aliens who had not been naturalized. Okay. Nothing new in the chat. All right. To be sure, Senator Trumbull at one point conceded that the American-born children of Chinese and other legal resident aliens could be granted citizenship. Doesn't that kind of defeat your own argument that you're trying to put out here, Mr. McCarthy? Excuse me. As Professor Greglia observes, this was inconsistent with the trajectory of the argument, apparently driven by the political consideration that such an effect would be trivial and not worth pausing over. For our purposes, the point is that even this tangent assumed the illegal immigration status of the parents. All right. Congress's first naturalization laws. Okay, so this is like getting more into those people who immigrated into the country and want to become citizens, but haven't yet. That brings us back to the first Naturalization Act. These congressional laws make manifest that the framers adhered to two relevant principles. The citizenship status of newborn and minor children were derivative of the citizenship of their parents. And American citizenship for the minor children of aliens was dependent on the aliens having become Americans, i.e., having gone through the naturalization process and having demonstrated good character and loyalty to the Constitution. All right. And so, yeah, I mean, that goes kind of expounding onto the origins of why we do not let people trying to become citizens, but are legal residents, break the law, and we deport them. Get into the origins of that aspect of our immigration laws. This understanding still held at the time that the 14th Amendment was adopted. There was no need to discuss it because it was utterly uncontroversial. The first naturalization law, enacted on March 26, 1790, provided that an alien, in those days a foreign-born free white person, could become a citizen after living in the U.S. for just 2 years. Excuse me, free white person. I just had to do that. As long as he proved to the satisfaction of a court that he was of good character and then took an oath to support the Constitution. Once that was done, any of his children under 21 at the time automatically became U.S. citizens. The second naturalization law, enacted on January 29, 1795, was more elaborate. Prescribing one naturalization standard for aliens who were already in the U.S., 2 years residency, and a prospective standard 5 years residency. For both categories, besides the required demonstration of good character and the oath of loyalty, there was added a former renunciation of all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, whatever. Upon completing that naturalization process, again, citizenship was deemed automatic for the minor children of the naturalized citizen. Congress tweaked the law again 3 years later, creating an alien registry and lengthening to 14 years the time an alien was required to reside in the United States before applying for citizenship. But the assumptions about children of aliens did not change. They derived citizenship from their parents. Okay. So that's interesting. They derived citizenship from their parents. This is talking about Congress tweaking laws. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to grab my head around this. That paragraph was talking more about how Congress was changing its own laws, not about how it was like changing the Constitution and the 14th Amendment in that statement right there. Again, going back up to the paragraph, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, yada, yada. So if we were to like go off on a technicality, one could almost say that Congress was acting, well, I don't know. I would not say outright unconstitutional in contradiction with the 14th Amendment, but it still does not override the rule from the Constitution that people born on U.S. soil, despite their parents' illegal status, have, birthright citizenship. As people like to argue the 14th Amendment says. You've been silent for a while, JJ. Was there something that you wanted to say?
Not really. In fact, I'm kind of getting a little bored.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's just the this kind of stuff is just not the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just talking about things like anti-feminism versus feminism and stuff like that gets kind of repetitive for me. And I don't know. I guess this is the type of stuff that I should more read on my own time and then translate the articles like in a video or in a stream or something like that, rather than read it on stream.
Maybe.
Which is kind of what I tried to do with Strikeforce editorials, but, Okay. Wong Kim Ark. The 14th Amendment undertook neither to disturb prior law on this subject nor rest Congress's Article 1 power to decide the status of children born to aliens while present in this country. To the extent the Supreme Court's 1898 Wong Kim Ark decision suggested otherwise, it was wrong. And to the extent it claimed that citizenship in the United States was to be determined in accordance with the duties of fealty owed by the subjects of the British Crown, from whom the free people of this nation refusing to be subjects had broken away. Its ruling was wayward. You know what? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might just link this article down below in the description, like save it for later for me to like read at some other time maybe, and just move on with the show here. Because, again, so far, I mean, there might be like a kicker point going on later in this article that says that that makes the case, yes, birthright citizenship is not a thing in the 14th Amendment. But for right now, I'm just not going to go into further observation because what I'm reading so far from the first half of this article is that, yeah, no, I'm not seeing some overwhelming point that birthright citizenship is not a guaranteed thing in the Constitution.
And also, this is pretty long.
Well, it wasn't as long as that one article talking about Trump mourning the Pittsburgh shooting victims.
Yeah, we get it. He mourned. He wished it didn't happen. Get over it.
I mean, it's worth mentioning very quickly. I mean, this isn't that story, by the way. I mean, it's worth mentioning for all the people that think that Trump is some heartless bastard. And here's the thing. I'm going to comment very quickly on the Pittsburgh shooting. The thing is, people like to connect the Pittsburgh shooting to Trump's harsh rhetoric. The thing is, I cannot remember him like being outright anti-Semitic.
Neither do I.
Outright anti-Semitic to the point that there should be something done about Jewish people. But anyway, this from CanadaFreePress.com. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to never mind. I was just checking my Twitter DMs right there, and there's still like debates going on in the chat groups, but of course you wouldn't know that because you've been off Twitter for the longest time.
I wish I could just get back already.
And I never mind, I'm not going to go off on that tangent, but anyway, continuing on. So in final conclusion of commentary on the Pittsburgh shooting, so for people to say that, oh, Trump is being anti-Semitic, so therefore the Pittsburgh shooting is his responsibility, it doesn't make any sense to me because that's not the main people who he goes criticizing. If people want to play a race narrative to it, is Mexicans, not Jewish people so much. Two Plebs Talk News is in the chat. Well, that's because you don't think saying the word globalist means kill the Jews. Ah, I see. Okay, so that's how they're connecting his rhetoric to be anti-Semitic. Because he goes using the term globalist a lot. So therefore, he's like an anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic piece of trash. Anyway. So this might get is slightly into conspiratorial territory with the MAGA bomber, as that is the next story that we're talking about. But we're just going to read this to like entertain us and maybe even enlighten us in a few areas. It's doesn't look like it's that long, so let's get into this, shall we? This shall be a little bit more of an interesting story to perk your ears, JJ. No such thing as a MAGA bomber or his trusty TrumpMobile. Yeah, I mean, okay, so going on later on to this article, it goes talking about how he ain't really a bomber because it was only an attempted bomber. He wasn't successful in actually killing people. So that's a little bit of a misnomer, and it's kind of arguing on semantics, but still. We just call him the MAGA bomber because that's what he's officially known as anyway. Two Plebs Talk News in the chat says, exactly, which is why he keeps doing things in promotion of Israel. He's just the worst anti-Semite you've ever seen.
It is kind of funny how the leftists are saying all this shit, but yet they are are anti-Israel.
Yeah, anti-Israel, but they like to say that they are not anti-Jew. But anyway, I mean, because of Trump's support of Israel, that's where the next level conspiracy theorists get into. I mean, we're talking about past Alex Jones level. The people who think that Trump is controlled by the Jews and the Illuminati, etc. Which I just like to brush those off because it gets into deep chronic paranoia. I don't know if chronic paranoia is a thing, but still, it's just, yeah, utterly dismal. Okay. From the get-go, Caesar Altieri Sayek, suspected source of the faux bombs, FAUX bombs, mostly not delivered to Democrat brass, but intercepted by authorities, was served up to the masses by mainstream and social media as the MAGA bomber. His van even featured on the Drudge Report as the TrumpMobile. Frenzied as the American media were during their saturation coverage of the suspicious packages being sent to prominent Democrats, it was not the American media, but the British one who first identified former male stripper Sayek as the perp. So, American media is basically relying entirely on, well, not entirely, but on British media to help set up the narrative. That's kind of foolish, I say. Red Feather says, LOL, well, Ivanka is his keeper. And Two Plebs is laughing out more to that. I
mean, okay. Ivanka is pretty hot, so.
Right. The story that made it to the Drudge's... Okay, the story that made it to Drudge's front page originated with Metro, the United Kingdom's highest circulation newspaper, published in tabloid format by DMG Media. Metro is owned by DMGT, part of the same media group as the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. Key to Sayek being identified as an over-the-top Trump supporter is his white van, covered by a blue tarpaulin, I guess that's how you pronounce it, by a blue tarpaulin, hoisted to a flatbed truck and hauled away at the direction of the suspicious package investigating FBI yesterday, before it could be determined whether it was a paid-for patsy or was who was the van driver. The van, with its collage of Trump decals, would be considered as evidence, but as quickly as you could shout, Hillary, some media-savvy people were not buying into it. Here's the suspected MAGAbomber's van. At Mike58 Stingray. Nice wrap job on the vinyl decals, not a hint of fading from the intense Florida sunshine. Note, no vandalism. You can't even wear a MAGA cap without triggering the left. Well, the thing is, it's Florida, not California, so there's a lot less risk of being vandalized because you are a Trump supporter as compared to, say, coastal California. Why then is this van covered by a blue tarp so pristine? And also, there is the possibility that the person could have just kept the van like in the garage for most of the time to prevent it from getting like faded by the sun or ruined by anti-Trump onlookers. Good question, Mike, even though it will likely never be answered. Also likely to remain unanswered is the trajectory of how slippery suspect Sayek switched over from being a registered Democrat to a registered Republican. That is quite interesting. Now, this is not getting into conspiracy theory. This seems to be getting into fact. I mean, especially since this is coming from the Washington Examiner, so they cite. In fact, as the Washington Examiner reveals, he registered as a GOP voter 11 days before the 2016 Florida primary and early voted in Miami-Dade County for the 2018 midterm election primary. So yeah, I mean, this transition from Democrat to GOP seems more rushed than even Trump's transition from left to right, in my perspective of this. So it does make it kind of fishy as to how legitimate the narrative of the story is. I'm not going to outright say that, yes, the MAGA bomber is like a leftist plant to try to make the right and Trump supporters look bad. But taking this fact into effect right here, it just raises a few eyebrows on my head.
Wait, was the guy actually, planted real bombs, or was it fake?
Okay, that's another thing. People are talking about, I mean, I think even Two Plebs Talk News talked about it in one of his videos recently, that the bombs looked fake, that the timers, the clocks for the timers on the bombs were stickers. Freaking stickers. Assuming that is true, then that would definitely make this guy either the biggest idiot ever, or he was a plant. I mean, the biggest idiot and troll that was just wanted to get popular. They weren't operable, says Red Feather. Okay. I mean, I'm not hearing this fact be disputed a whole lot, in all honesty. When a person says that the bombs were not operable, they were not going to work as real bombs, I do not hear that fact being disputed by the left a whole lot, and just anti-Trumpers in general. So there is a high possibility that these bombs are not operable, but I'm not going to just go off of a continued narrative like the skeptic community just recycles their own narratives, their own political narratives, for example. I'm not gonna take it as absolute fact, but still. While the mainstream media quickly labels Cesar Sayak as a bona fide Trump-loving conservative Republican, social media and internet investigation shows the alleged MAGA bomber listed as a registered Democrat since 1980, only changing to Republican in 2016, and reveals multiple social media posts hating Republicans and the GOP, bashing George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, posting photos of Bush and Cheney as war criminals, and praising Code Pink liberal women as the beautiful women of the world. And that's only the beginning. Shad Olson Show, October 26, 2018. And Two Plebs Talks News says in the chat before we get into this quote, an unconfirmed statement before the bomber got a lawyer said that he didn't intend them to work. He wanted to send a message. Still fucked up and weird, but not bomber worthy. Yeah, exactly. That's why that I say that the term MAGA bomber seems to be a misterming of this. Just like how I think that Wall Street Journal kills kids is a little bit of a misterming of that situation, because it's not like the Wall Street Journal had their own personal firing squads to put kids in front of and just pull the trigger. No, instead they indirectly caused harm to these kids by causing St. Jude to act all spineless and return back the donations to all the alt-righters that were just being all trollish in Ralph Retort's own chat, which that's another story we'll get into here later. But for right now, continuing this, the arrest of 56-year-old Cesar Altieri Sayak of Ventura, Florida, also known as Cesar Sayak or Cesar Altieri Randazzo, as he is known on Facebook, on allegations he is responsible for the flurry of fake bombs sent to Democrat leaders just days before the 2018 midterm election, brought immediate identification of Sayak as a diehard Trump supporter driving a pristine, unvandalized, despite multiple alleged trips through vehemently anti-Trump metropolitan areas. More on that later. Trump van wrapped and plastered with Trump paraphernalia in what appears an over-the-top Trump tribute befitting a circus routine, or very likely someone trying way too hard to appear a Donald Trump supporter. That's kind of a good description, I think, of the Trump van, but it still doesn't really serve as evidence to outright say that the MAGA bomber definitely is a plant.
But it seems like he might be.
What?
But it seems like he might be.
Yeah, I'm not completely out. I'm not completely ruling out the possibility, but if he is a plant, then whether or not he's a plant is irrelevant to me. This guy is still immoral, and the only reason why people would say that this guy is a supporter is to try and push the agenda that Trump's harsh words encourage people to kill people. I mean, let's assume that even if this guy really was legitimately a Trump supporter, and I'm not ruling out that he is, as a Cult of Ham just shows up in the chat. I mean, even if he legitimately is a Trump supporter, Trump did not call out for the outright deaths of Democrats. The most that he called out for is jailing Hillary. That was it. I don't recall him like actually calling for the deaths of Maxine Waters or Barack Obama or anything else like that. If he was, then yeah, I can see the responsibility that Trump should be taking for that. But that's not the case here. So the MAGA bomber, assuming he's a real Trump supporter, would not be responsible for that. Trump would not be responsible for that, those actions.
But I will say Maxine Waters is a piece of shit.
Where's my George Soros check, bitches? Says Cold of Ham. I don't know. Go check your mailbox, Ham. George Soros shill. There are a few ways to travel more conspicuously in heavily Democrat Broward County, Florida, than by dressing your vehicle like the flagship of USS Donald Trump.
That
sorry.
needs to be an actual. That needs to be an actual ship in a funny movie.
I couldn't help but laugh at that. Let me reread that just for our own entertainment pleasure. Ugliest ship ever.
Just
There
give
are a few ways to
that hair.
What? Sorry.
Just give it like a Donald Trump like hair as the ship as well.
I can imagine a parodical film actually doing that shit. Like
and they need to paint on the side. It's huge.
Genius. Hey, Cult of Ham, that might be a little video project for you. Cult of Ham says, burn that ship! Anyway, rereading this paragraph because it's so freaking funny. There are few ways to travel more conspicuously in heavily Democrat Broward County, Florida than by dressing your vehicle like the flagship of USS Donald Trump of the Donald Trump Fan Club. Oh, no. Cult of Ham says, huge like my cock. Nobody wants to know that, Ham. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, I'm going to just bookmark the chat and continue on reading here before I get into it again. In fact, one could think of few more effective ways to have a vehicle vandalized, keyed, boosted, burned, or bashed than by covering the windows in a Technicolor Trumpalooza collage that might have appeared on the walls of John Nash's hideaway paranoia loft in the Oscar-winning movie A Beautiful Mind. Shad Olson showed October 27, 2018. Who wrote this? Mr. Medicare? Because this is almost the same type of sentencing that I would see in a Mr. Medicare video that I have been recently seeing, mostly because the conundrum would practically be force-feeding me Mr. Medicare content. No, I'm just kidding.
Mr. Medicare is a pretty good YouTuber.
Yeah, he's entertaining to say the least.
Very.
Okay, but that's what the mainstream media wants you to believe about alleged fake bomber hoaxer Caesar Altieri Sayak, the man apprehended Friday and accused of delivering more than a dozen inert non-bombs to members of the Democrat upper crust and leftist media organization, the CNN. Oh, excuse me.
Nobody gives a shit about CNN except for retards.
Yeah, nobody does.
Unless they're retarded.
We're almost done here, but I'm going to get more into the chat. Okay. Red Feather says, lol, Cult of Ham, did you forget to renew your membership? And Two Plebs says, at Cult of Ham, George Soros is paying you to make the frogs trans and take over the world with your trans frog army. Don't deny it. And yeah, I'm liking of how lightened up Two Plebs is being with Cult of Ham right now. And Cult of Ham says, nah, Alex Jones has that job coveted. I'm working on the piggies. Coveted. I think he meant to say covered. He accidentally pressed T instead of R. Two Pleb says fair. Makes sense. And Ham says Mr. Medicare and Sargon need to do a gay German Schweitzer porn together.
No. No. Hell no.
Oh,
that's just disgusting.
This is rich, but I'm going to continue on here before I keel over of laughter anymore. Actually, I think I'm going to take a restroom break after this article. Anyway.
So he can jerk off.
No, fuck you. No, I have to take a piss, dickhead.
Zach, I've told you a million times. Zach, I've told you a million times. I'm not interested.
No, I didn't say I would fuck you, fuckface. Anyway.
Wait, you want to fuck my face?
Hey, which is worse? Me fucking your face or you want to scalp my ass so that you can fuck it?
What? Scalping your ass would literally be impossible because your ass does not have a scalp.
Oh, but you would still cut it off, wouldn't you? Anyway, that's getting into semantics on that joke, and I think the joke is being ruined. What?
I'd cut it off and feed it to you.
You would cut my ass and feed it to me.
Yes.
Oh, y'all. Never mind. Anyway, moments after his arrest, Sayek's social media accounts and personal details were suspended, stricken, and taken off of the web. His Facebook page glitched and froze at exactly 11:24 Mountain Standard Time, or MDT. I assume that means Colorado time. Even as independent, or Rocky Mountain time, essentially. Even as independent journalists like yours truly scrolled furiously looking for shelf life clues to gain better insight into the real makeup of the so-called MAGA bomber, quote unquote, but not before I was able to capture this image below of the now infamous white panel van without the Trump regalia, so necessary to accrue the political hit points needed to paint Donald Trump as an inciter of hatred, violence, and pain. Like, okay, I'm not going to say so much that Donald Trump would be I don't know. I'm not going to say that Donald Trump's words do not encourage some people to have some emotions towards other people of hatred or fear, etc. But anyone can do that. Richard Spencer does that all the time with his white genocide talking points. But until a person like Richard Spencer was to actually call on for violence, I wouldn't call him responsible for any violence that is carried out in his supposed name. And by that principle, I carry that out on Donald Trump as well. Unless he was actually calling for the death of Barack Obama, Maxine Waters, CNN, and Hillary Clinton. He is not responsible for this bomber, or attempted bomber anyways. Since image download and capture were made impossible by the deletion or suspension of Sayek's Facebook account, the screenshot still shot of a video clearly shows the same white panel van on August 28, 2018, without the Trump stickers or vehicle wrap made famous by this week's events. White, plain, mundane. Just like Josso's van.
No, just like you and your bald head.
Yes. What are you kidding?
He's a skinhead.
My bald head is cool. My bald head is awesome. It's
white, plain, and mundane.
And it's what helps complete my personality.
So
wait.
A boring white guy that doesn't like spicy food. Got it.
I do like spicy food.
Oh, I think it was somebody else who was white that said that.
But anyway, I guess I kind of dug myself in a hole by saying it kind of completes my personality, because that would imply that I'm calling myself white, plain, and mundane. Yes, I am white, but I wouldn't like to think of myself as plain and mundane. Like Matt. I immediately thought of mundane Matt. Anyway. A much more commonplace and nondescript getaway vehicle if one were seriously undertaking a criminal plot without intentions of being apprehended. Or the perfect van for a pedophile to use for kidnapping little kitties. Keeping in mind, because that's kind of one of the things that I was thinking. Anyway, keep in mind that in July and August of 2016, Cesar Sayek's Facebook timeline shows him in almost constant attendance of Trump rallies and events. Okay. So keeping that in mind, that almost implies that he was not, that his conversion from Democrat to GOP was not so rushed. Instead of it like being in the course of a few days, like it said earlier with the, where was it? Okay, this paragraph right here. I mean, instead of it being in the course of a few days, it seems that his conversion to becoming a Trump-supporting Republican might have been in the course of a few months, saying that he attended rallies in July and August of 2016. So it makes the whole narrative that the MAGA bomber was a legitimate Trump supporter kind of a little bit more fruitful and believable, in my opinion. Anyway, although he was late to changing his registration, apparently. But then again, he could have been attending the Trump rallies in opposition of Trump, in the same way that BLM supporters attended Trump rallies in protest of the rallies and of Trump.
And sort of like that one person who looked very androgynous that would just yell no.
Yeah. Okay. Snapping selfies, taking videos, and loading down his page with enough red meat, though protesteth too much to choke James Woods. And yet, not a single Trump sticker is visible on the exterior of his trusty white van that witnesses say he parked in parking lots and slept in both at out-of-town events and otherwise. Which means, of course, that, okay, to comment on that further, perhaps he became like a full-throated Trump supporter, like after his election. Like there is that possibility. They became a more loyal Trump supporter as soon as he was elected. Like he was just all like meh with Trump, but outright hated Hillary. So therefore he like changed his registration to Republican and voted for Trump. But then he got deeper and deeper into supporting Trump after his election, just to argue that the MAGAbomber is a legit Trump supporter. Which means, of course, that Caesar must have considered it very good strategy to wait patiently, biding his time before making up that generic white van like a Donald Trump parade float immediately prior to undertaking a DC sniper version of psychological terror campaign, leaving those vehicle wrap window coverings proudly and boldly in place for the entirety of said campaign. Even after the alleged hoax bombs had been delivered and his alleged handiwork became the most intensely covered news item in the nation. Maybe, possibly, there are people dumb enough to intentionally do that. Maybe Caesar Alteri is just that stupid. Maybe he's crazy. Maybe he's a patsy. I don't think anybody would deny that he is crazy and stupid. Or just maybe Mr. Alleged Hoax Bomber wanted to get caught looking like the world's most syrupy Trump fanboy, knowing that his TrumpMobile MAGA bomb delivery vehicle would instantly become the most vividly captured image in the political universe just days before the most important midterm election in American history. After all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, or in this case, maybe 1,000,000 votes or more. Oh, so this ain't the end of the article. It continues on.
Okay. If I may read the chat.
Okay.
Cultifam said, I do think Trump is guilty of stochastic terror or stochastic terror. I don't know how to say it. An example of that terror is when Bill O'Reilly kept saying George Tiller, the baby killer, and Tiller was murdered by anti-abortion extremist. And Red Feathers in the chat. Cult of Ham, when was Trump, when has Trump said anything like that, and of whom? Trump is incredibly hostile to media and the Democrats, and it's only a matter of time before a mentally ill person would act out.
Stochastic terror?
Stochastic.
At first I thought he might have been meaning to say sarcastic. Here, let me look up the definition of that word, because I never heard that.
A stochastic terror is an example of Bill O'Reilly kept saying George Tiller, the baby killer, and Tiller was murdered by an anti-abortion extremist.
That's almost, it's not quite a guilt by association. It might be the wrong type of fallacy that I'm trying to define here, but it still seems kind of fallacious here. Holding a person responsible for his own supporters. An example is, Cultifam, when has Trump said anything like that? And of whom? And Cultifam says, Trump is incredibly hostile to media and the Dems, and it was only a matter of time before a mentally ill person would act out. I don't care, Ham. I don't care. He's not responsible. He's not responsible for the MAGA bomber here. I mean, especially if Trump was to like come out and say like days later that I condemn this type of action. And I don't think he has mentioned any comment specifically on the MAGA bomber saying that he condemns that kind of action, but he did at least attend the memorial for the victims of the Pittsburgh shooting, which wasn't that like put in connection with him. Some of that narrative was. I think so. The guy looks like he paints his hair on. Red Feather says, yeah, that's he actually does look like a
Red Feather. It's MAGAbomber, not MAGAbomber.
maybe I am like kind of doing a Freudian slip on my part to make it sound like I'm saying MAGAbomber. Anyway, stochastic terror is a thing, Cult of Ham says. Red Feather says the media is also hostile to him. Even though they all used to like him, he's defending himself. Cult of Ham says the act of terror is statistically possible to predict, even if you can't identify who will act out. Okay.
Okay, then.
I don't know what the point is supposed to be on that, but anyway. Continuing on with the news, great investigative work, Shad, Columbo, Olsen, and captivating writing to boot. I don't know. I mean, the guy doesn't sound like necessarily an objective reporter, but he did not outright say that the guy is definitely a plant. I mean, the implications I get from that last paragraph right there is that the guy was just an attention whore, as he was. I mean, assuming the guy really is a Trump supporter, which seems most likely that he really is. Seems that the guy was just being an attention whore with the way that he was decorating his own van. Great investigative work, Shad, Columbo, Olsen, and captivating writing to boot. Meanwhile, one thing we know for sure is when the media frenzy trying to tie President Donald Trump to the alleged MAGA bomber will come to an end, after thousands of invaders from the first of the caravans storm America's southern border. Truth is that there is no such thing as a MAGA bomber, only a would-be bomber. Yeah, that's a little disclaimer right there. Who, in spite of all the media hype that surrounds him, never managed to hurt even a single fly. Continued. I do not see how it is continued.
Okay, Zach. Cult of Ham said the use of mass public communication, usually against a particular individual or group, which incites or inspires acts of terrorism, which are statistically probable but happen seemingly at random. That's the definition of stochastic terrorism.
Okay, and point being? I mean, Trump has not called on for the violence of all these individuals.
Yeah.
I still can't, in all good faith, hold him responsible for MAGA bomber. Or MAGA attempted bomber.
Or the MAGA retard.
Yeah, the MAGA retard. That's what he should be referred to. Well, actually, that's kind of ambiguous because a whole bunch of leftists will refer to every single Trump supporter as MAGA retards. But anyway.
Well, I don't call MAGA people retards, so that's my definition.
Red Feather also says, isn't the media and Dems then also guilty of the same things, Cult of Ham? Like Madonna talking about blowing up the White House, etc.?
And
okay,
also,
yeah, that's a little bit more. That's a little bit more out of an outright attempt at of inciting violence. He's talking about blowing up buildings that people are in. Sorry, JJ.
And what about even though it wasn't exactly terrorism, but it was very stochastic? What about the thing that Maxine Waters did, which was like promote like people to go up to like certain Republicans' houses and like blare noise and all that kind of stuff?
Sarah Sanders, like encouraging the harassing of her, for example.
Yeah. Would that be stochastic?
I don't know. I mean, stochastic, it might be. Well, actually, no. It is a real definition as shown right here. Well, okay. I have it on my second screen here. So
even though it's not really terrorism?
Stochastic is a real word, but that does not matter to me.
Okay, so
trying to determine of how guilty Trump is. But so, what were you saying, JJ?
Cold Fan says when it happens, yes, they will.
And sending raisin. Oh, I think she meant to say ricin in the mail to Republicans, says Red Feather. I also hear that there was ricin that was sent to Obama like a few months after he had been inaugurated into office. I think was it
fucking psychos.
It was a few years. It was like on MSN.com. This was like when I was barely reading any news. I was mostly listening to news more than anything. But anyway, all right.
I thought you'd be playing with your Legos at that time.
Yes, exactly. Ebony.com update. Hashtag MAGAbomber charged on 5 counts faces up to 58 years. Okay, so I got this, and then I got 2 more articles right after this, but we are close coming to the end here, folks. I think we might have been streaming for over 2 hours on this news stream, but it's well worth it. We're playing catch-up here. Update at 3:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Excuse me. Caesar Sayak Jr., the South Florida man arrested in connection with the explosive devices sent to a string of President Donald Trump naysayers, has been labeled the MAGA bomber.
Labeled.
Yeah, that a little bit of Freudian slip when you just mentioned Legos. Thanks, JJ.
It's not my fault that you like Legos.
According to the New York Times, Sayak has a criminal history that dates back to 1991, which includes drug and fraud charges and felony theft. The registered Republican who was born in New York was arrested in 2002 in Miami for making a bomb threat. A Twitter account believed to belong to Sayak was littered with memes that attacked Trump opponents, liberals, and promoted right-wing agendas. The suspect is also seen in a video at a Make America Great Again rally, wearing the controversial hat and rooting for Trump. Controversial? Oh my gosh. Am I reading the right source here? Because it's calling the mere hat controversial. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, you're definitely reading a liberal fucking... Well, actually it is libtard because they are the libtards, not just liberal.
James Schultz in the chat says New York Times is never trustworthy. I'm not reading New York Times here, although actually, is Ebony in connection with New York Times? I don't know.
I mean, it is called Ebony, and a lot of black people hate Republicans.
Okay. Okay, Cult of Ham says build the wall out of Legos. James Schultz is fake news, says Cold of Ham. What? Are you reliant on the New York Times, Cold of Ham? Aren't the New York Times one of the people like push the Russian collusion conspiracies regarding Trump? I mean, I thought that's something that I recalled. Will you disavow the GOP effigy with a pumpkin for a head, says Cold of Ham. I think he's asking a sarcastic question there, and that's a little bit of an inside joke as well, so you wouldn't know it, JJ. But to explain it, one of the people within our group chats was asking Trump, or no, I call Ham Trump. Now he's gonna troll me in the chat for that. But anyway, was asking Ham if he will disavow the one dummy that was hung up. That was hung up being posed as Marsha Blackburn. And to me, it did not look like that the pumpkin was being hung from a tree, but one of the people within the group chat was asking Ham, will you disavow this? And there was a huge argument between that person and Ham on this. Ham says, I don't read the New York Times. Okay, so we don't know. I don't know, but thank you, Cold of Ham.
The New York Times is full of libtards.
You sounded like Ham, like you're trying to impersonate Ham there. And Cold of Ham. The forbidden word.
I messed up my voice because I think my voice is starting to go out. Ow.
How cancerous did the audio sound there when I said that, by the way?
Pretty cancer like my throat right now.
And Cultivan puts an asterisk, doesn't troll Darky Khan. Noggers? Eggnoggers?
I want some alcoholic eggnog right now.
Oh, geez. Thanks, Ham. What the heck? Okay. Noggers was not put in review, was not held for review in the chat, but when he says naggers, that's put in review for some reason.
Noggers.
Ham. Did I ever mention to you? Oh god, he puts it in an E and it's put in review. This is like Google. Stop being so fidgety. Like any word that like sounds like the word nigger, but just replacing the first syllable with a different vowel. Is it to be held in review or not? Make up your damn mind. Stop being so schizophrenic. But anyway, damn it, I forgot what it was I wanted to say to. Oh yeah, I remember. Ham, Did I ever tell you about the one time that equal rights advocate called you a pigger?
A pigger.
Yeah. Cult of Ham is a pigger.
A stupid pigger. Go eat your bacon somewhere else, you fucking pigger.
Okay. I can imagine this chat comment being taken down by Google, but Cult of Ham says, Darky Khan said niggers!
A pigger.
It's not being taken down by Google so far. That's odd. Anyway.
I guess it's because it's more than just nigger.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. But he LOLs at the word pigger. Okay.
Such a race.
Red Feather says Nig Pigler. What the fuck?
Nig Pigler.
Such a racophobe. Okay. I'm confused. What's a racophobe? That's supposed to be somebody who has a phobia towards people of different races? Is that a new word for racist, or is a racophobe supposed to be somebody who has a phobia towards racists? Darky Khan and JJ hates the black people. Oh god.
Hey, I'm gonna prove you wrong by that. I fucked a black girl in a fucking pickup truck bed. Okay, there you go. I'm not racist. Or was it an alley? I can't remember.
JJ?
What?
Is there something that you've been withholding from us in your past? Or are you just trolling us?
I'm trolling guys. Of course I've never had sex.
Okay. Red Feather asks, you are scared of race realism. I think that's her trying to define a racophobe. Okay. Anyway.
A rice-phobe.
Rice-phobe. Yeah, I don't like the Chinese cooking because it has so much rice in it. Nor do I like half of Latin American or Spanish cooking because there's so much rice. I don't like rice. Keep it away from me.
And also you hate it because it's white.
No, it's I hate the dirty rice more than the brown rice. No. Anyway, Red Feather says, of course it was a pickup truck, you redneck.
I'm not even redneck. What the fuck?
Well, you are probably more redneck than me because you live further in the South. You wear and you just have more of the qualities of a redneck, seemingly.
If you want to see redneck, I could show you redneck in this town.
Yeah, no thanks. Anyway, fucking Google is telling me to slow down on the chatting. # free speech, says Cult of Ham. Oh, that sucks. Free speech absolutism for the win. But anyway, Attorney General Jeff Sessions said Sayek has been charged with 5 federal crimes, including interstate transportation of an explosive, illegal mailing of explosives, threats against former presidents and certain other persons, threatening interstate communications, and assault against federal officers during a news conference. He faces up to 58 years in prison. Jeff Sessions doesn't mention specifically whether they were fake or not, so I wish he would have gone into that detail. But anyway, out of curiosity, when was this posted? October 26, 2018. Okay, so this would have been like fairly early within the reporting of the whole MAGA bomb, the whole MAGA attempted bomber story.
Cult of Ham said Jew neck.
Oh god. LOL, I don't know, I'm just shit talking, says Red Feather. Okay. Update at 11:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. MSNBC News has identified 56-year-old Caesar Sayek Jr. as the suspect in sending suspicious packages. A Florida man was arrested in connection with the explosive devices that were sent to prominent Democrats this week. The Department of Justice confirmed with CNN. We can confirm one person is in custody, DOJ spokeswoman Sarah Isger Flores tweeted on Friday. The news comes hours. The news comes hours are 2 packages. What? That was a weird bit of spelling right there. The news comes hours are 2 packages, one in Florida and one in New York City, were discovered addressed to Senator Cory Booker, Democrat in New Jersey, and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Okay, I thought Cory Booker was a Democrat from New York, but I don't know. I guess I'm wrong in that. Authorities were able to find the suspect through cell phone records, according to ABC News. CNN reports that the suspect is in his 50s and has ties to New York, while MSNBC says that the suspect's van is filled with pictures of President Donald Trump right-wing paraphernalia and the presidential seal. Okay, so this article seems pretty milquetoast in its reporting, and but except it calls the MAGA hat a controversial hat. Although to play devil's advocate, I mean, I don't think that the MAGA hat should be considered controversial, but there isn't any real denying, looking back on that, there ain't no real denying that it is a controversial hat, just because people have made it controversial. More specifically, the people who hate the hat so much to want to take it off a person's head and try to turn it into authorities. You know which story I'm talking about there, JJ?
Uh-huh.
The one fat Mexican girl that...
the fat Mexican whore.
Yeah, that was trying to argue, I don't care about your private property rights. I'm stealing your hat and turning it into the college campus officials or whatever.
Oh my God! Cult of Fam says, "Who wants to bet this guy has a Donald Trump butt plug?"
What the fuck? What is it made out of? It's probably made out of Cheeto dust and blonde hairs.
And also his cum.
Red Feather also says, LOL, kike neck speed. What the fuck? Red Feather, shut up. I do not want to be accused of being anti-Semitic. No. I'm sorry, I'm being peer pressured. And called. Oh, wait. You got people
Mike
around
Pence
you?
nipple clamps.
What the fuck? This is the main reason why I like Cult of Fam, because he's amusing. He's entertaining. Ain't no denying that. Maybe an occasional asshole, but he's an entertaining asshole.
And he also gets upset in certain things, and it makes it funny.
He doesn't get as easily upset as some other people. He's got a little bit more thicker skin, but still, that one time that he was getting all where he was having that meltdown when he was like freaking shouting at all the people for muting him.
Nigger, nigger, nigger.
I still crack up when I listen back on that clip where he's just shouting, nigger, 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 you know. Oh man, this stream is going to get flagged and taken down. Anyway, Red Feather says, this dude is obviously a pawn. How did he drive around such a liberal part of the country in that van with no incidents? And especially, how do they look so good after exposure to the weather? I don't know. Probably like, probably kept it in a garage, maybe? Cult of Fam says, triggered. Cult of Fam is triggered. He's a triggered pigger.
No, he's a niggard. He's niggered.
Oh, shut up, JJ. Oh, okay. RSC says that he's back.
Again.
Red Feather says that Cult of Fam, no one wants to know about your Amazon wish list. Red Feather, I like you too as well. You are about as entertaining as Cult of Fam as well in the chat.
Maybe even more so sometimes. Oh my God, Cult of Fam.
Cult of Fam, shut up. Oh God. I mean, as long as he's not directly calling any black people niggers, I don't give a shit.
Same.
Unless it's Owen McDonald. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Owen, I think you have another video.
Shut up! Oh God. Okay. Anyway,
I'm amused.
CNN reports that the suspect in his... Okay, I already read that paragraph right there. Suspicious packages with pipe bombs inside were mailed to former President Barack Obama, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former Vice President Joe Biden, Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat, California, former CIA Director John Brennan, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and actor Robert De Niro, all who have been vocal critics of President Donald Trump. Okay. 0 comments. Okay. 373 shares, but 0 comments. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Cold of Ham said something that was instantly deleted by the Google moderator team. So that's where the censorship finally decides to kick in. But for some reason, when Cold of Ham says Trump is an orange nigger, that does not get pulled down by Google moderator team.
What did he say that got blocked?
Okay, there's something that he said. Okay, he said something before he said Trump is an orange nigger that got deleted for some reason.
Oh no. I think
this other chat comment did not get deleted for some
Hold
odd
on.
reason. Sorry, go on, JJ.
I think what he said was the nigger with the with the question mark. He said just nigger question mark.
Didn't you say that earlier?
Yeah, that's what got deleted.
Oh wait. Oh. Okay. Oh yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah. Thanks for driving my memory there, JJ. Okay.
Yeah, I had to get kind of reminded by myself as well.
Google bot is Hitler. I don't know. I think
Google bot raped me.
I think Hitler would not be censoring that kind of speech right there. He'd probably be censoring all kinds of other speech, but black people getting called niggers, no. He probably even outright encouraged that, I would think. Or I don't know, maybe not, because thing with alt-right people, white supremacists, and Nazis, they at least have a little bit more class and I don't want to say manners so much, but
Hitler had a black maid and raped her.
What?
Hitler had a black maid and raped her. Is
that a real thing?
No, seriously. I doubt he'd even have a black maid around him.
Okay. Never mind.
Easily fooled.
Sorry. Hitler in triple parentheses. Well, he was half Jewish, so yeah. Okay, so anyway, getting on to the hashtag Wall Street Journal kills kids stories. So you've been hearing of what was going on, and Cold of Ham says Hitler has a micro penis, and he only had one ball as well, Ham. Didn't you know that? Anyway, what have you heard about the what have you heard about Ralph Retort getting taken down by YouTube?
Wait, Ralph Report?
Ralph Retort.
Oh, Ralph Retort. I never even really heard of the person.
Oh. Well, Ralph Retort is like one of those internet blood sports community type guys.
Oh, yeah, now I remember.
Yeah, I mean, the story goes, I mean, you can watch like Rin Michaelis's video and Teal Deer's video about this whole story in more detail. But to get you a little bit more up to speed, and I really wish that we had Loudmouth here with us because he really had lots to say about this story, I think. Sorry.
Whoa.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess Loudmouth is not going to be able to join us. That's a crying shame. But he had a lot to say about this whole story. He was rather passionate about it. But to get you up to speed to the best that I can without Loudmouth's help, so basically, Ralph Retort has a fundraiser charity live stream for St. Jude Hospital for cancer treatment of little kids. And then Wall Street Journal goes reporting on the stream, talking about how there were a whole bunch of alt-right trolls that were posting a whole bunch of anti-Semitic and just racist crap. I mean, it's questionable as to whether these trolls are being legitimate or they're being just that sarcastic trolls. I mean, if they were being legitimate, it does not negate the fact that Ralph Retort was trying to put forth a charity to try and help kids in their cancer situation. But still,
YouTube is becoming Owen.
And so Wall Street Journal reports on that. And then St. Jude Hospital, I guess somebody within St. Jude Hospital reads the report and they find out, that the money that they were given by Ralph Retort for the cancer treatment came from all these alt-righters, whether they were being legitimate racists or just sarcastic trolls or not. They don't care. They give the money back to all the people who donated because they don't want that money. And Ralph Retort gets taken down. And ultimately, more importantly, the kids don't get the fundraiser money. So
wow,
pretty shitty stuff going on here. Like, people are getting so triggered over some verbal racism to the point that they'll let that overrule a charity that's meant to save fucking lives.
People are so fucking retarded and just...
Yeah.
I want to go up to those people and actually punch them. Like, actually punch them.
And so Rin Michaelis, she was able to, like, just capture screenshots of the Wall Street Journal article, the one particular article that went talking about Ralph Retort's super chats and the supposed hate speech that went on there, so that people don't have to, like, give traffic to the Wall Street Journal in order to read the original article that caused St. Jude to return the money and Ralph Retort to get taken down. But that's what we have here. So shout out to Rin Michaelis. Thank you for providing these screenshots so I don't have to give freaking traffic to the WSJ. WSJ is an SJW. That's what I have to say.
Okay, so Cult of Fam said, I'd rather a child, he said, but die in agony than let Nazi donate money to charity.
Yes, exactly. That's the mentality of these fuckers right here.
Yeah, that's how you know these... I'm just going to say these are the libtards. This is what happens when libtards get in, charge of something.
Well, this ain't even libtard shit right here. This is like deep end leftardism right here.
That's what I'm saying. Libtard. I call, like, far left morons like that libtards. Even though, actually, no, I'm just gonna call them.
Okay.
No, I'm just gonna start calling them leftards.
All right. Yeah, for like the far left, further.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call them leftards. Yeah,
the leftists that we don't like that are outside of Cult of Ham's sphere of leftism. Anyway, Red Feather says not true. Ralph did a variety of live streams. I'm confused. What is it that was that we stated that was wrong? I don't know. Red Feather says the charity stream was back in September. Oh, wait. Okay. So it was a little bit of a belated process here, it seems to me, to get Ralph Retort taken down. YouTube is like striking the iron cold on this. And they just shit post mostly, says Red Feather. Although, in my opinion, they shouldn't have done so during a charity stream. I would agree so. I mean,
yeah,
there are certain contexts that you don't shit post. And even if it's like just for humor's sake, you don't speak racial slurs. I mean, there's certain company that you don't say that around. Like, for example, I don't think Rin Michaelis would like to hear the word nigger said in a humorous context so many fucking times, like around by Cult of Ham, for example, or anyone else. And so for that, I would think that it's inappropriate to say it.
Okay, and Red Feather says, well, ultimately it was St. Jude's decision to refund the money. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, but St. Jude did not need to know where the money was coming from, in my opinion. I mean, it was just money in general given to a humane cause here, a rather moral cause. And yet Wall Street Journal had to go ahead and fuck up the whole circumstance, inform St. Jude of this, and yeah, just... I mean, I guess the Wall Street Journal doesn't get all the blame for this. St. Jude gets some of the blame as well. I mean, they're both being fucking retarded. Ralph Retort and his fanboys, they may be obnoxious and assholes in a way, verbal assholes with all the racist shit that they be posting in their live chats, but they aren't completely immoral. They are not like the bad guys in this story, I say.
Yeah.
Red Feather says, you said the kill stream was IBS, and that's not what every stream is about. No. Where did I say that? I mean, what do you mean by IBS? I mean, if you're talking about like if you're talking about charity streams, I never said or even thought that every single live stream that Ralph Retort hosts is for the sake of charity. I mean, I thought it was just a one live stream. Anyway, Darkycon supports racism in triple parentheses. Fake news. But anyway, we're taking our time on this, but yeah, this is going to get into the real fucked up shit that you're definitely going to want to comment on, JJ.
Okay.
Wall Street Journal. Hate speech on live super chats, quote unquote, tests YouTube. Feature that gives paid comments special treatment, generates revenue, but can include racist comments. And, okay. Okay. And there's Jean-Francois Garipé's smug-ass stoner face. Red Feather, that is slander. I did not kill no Christ. I duck his dick. What the fuck? Oh, Internet Blood Sport, says Red Feather. Okay. You said the kill stream was Internet Blood Sports, and that's not what every stream is about. Okay. Okay. My mistake. I mean, I do not know what community you would comfortably put Ralph Retort in, but I just used Internet Blood Sports community because I thought they were that. I didn't think that outright that Ralph Retort was alt-right. I mean, obviously they had a lot of fans that were alt-right, and obviously so does Mr. Medicare and Sargon of Akkad. Even though Sargon of Akkad is not himself an alt-righter. Although the alt-righters are mostly fans of his for the stuff when he's critical of leftist SJWs, not when he goes criticizing alt-righters, then his own fans turn on him. And for all I know, I probably have some alt-right fans myself, mostly for the stuff that they agree on. But when it comes to like interracial marriage, they'd probably be hitting that dislike button, you know? Just for example. And speaking against white ethnostatism. Anyway. But yeah, the reason why I said Internet Blood Sports community, because I do not know what exact community you would put Ralph Retort and Mr. Medicare and all the rest in. Anyway, after Robert Bowers stormed the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh on October 27, far-right personality Ethan Ralph. Okay, so you are determining Ethan Ralph. Okay, so Ralph Retort... That's his full name right there, Ethan Ralph. So Wall Street Journal is calling them far right, but I'm not going to just go blanketly off of that. I need to know his actual beliefs, whether I personally would classify him as socially or economically far right or anything like that. Launched a live stream on YouTube to discuss the shooting that claimed 11 lives. Soon, some viewers began paying to have their comments featured on the live chat, scrolling alongside the streaming video through a feature YouTube launched last year called Super Chat. And I have a question about that stream. Like, in that stream, was the Ralph Retort and all of his guests and co-hosts and whatnot, excuse me, were they speaking against the Pittsburgh shooting victims? Were they justifying the Pittsburgh shooting or something like that? Or were they actually speaking for race realism, like unironically? Because if they were then, I would then comfortably probably say that, yes, they are far right. But that, I'm not seeing anything here to omit that. Red Feather says, I'm deaf. Okay, Cold of Ham says, Ralph is obviously a Nazi and he needs a brick implanted in his brain. And Red Feather says, I'm definitely not alt-right. Fair enough, Darkon. I would put him in a variety category if there is such a thing. Okay. All right.
I'm into some internet blood sports as well.
Right. The jungle blood sports. And then there was one stream that you participate with Conundrum that he had to take down, by the way, where you were like roasting Godric, you know?
Yeah, I tore into him.
And then there's that one guy who called you a cunt and you just laughed that off. Bravo, JJ, for just laughing that off, because that was probably your best moment right there, just laughing it off the way you did.
It's just when people do that, it's just funny and hilarious to me now.
Anyway, during the live stream, since deleted, one user paid £2 to write, "How you get a Jewish girl's number? Roll up her sleeve." Oh, okay. That took a little bit for it to click. I see. Oh, jeez.
I laugh at racist jokes.
Okay. That is obviously a joke right there. It's not like that is not like serious far right agenda pushing right there. It's more that's an edgy joke, and you're going to be freaking out about this, Wall Street Journal? Eesh. Anyway, another viewer paid $5 and wrote, "If you want to know if the synagogue shooting was a false flag, then check out the Lucky Larry life insurance policies on those dead Jews."
Wait,
okay.
I don't get that one.
I don't think it was a joke. I think that gets more into serious territory.
Oh.
Yes, the person. Okay, a few of them might think that it's a false flag. Obviously, I mean, this is getting to like one of the deep ends of YouTube. Anyway, if they were speaking about race realism, the Jews would come out on top, right? Says Red Feather. Not according to. Well, actually, no. To the credit of alt-righters, they do admit that Ashkenazi Jews are smarter than even themselves, than their own pasty white ass. But they want ethnostatism for like all races, which I completely disagree with because I'm an anti-authoritarian like that. But that's for the sake of intellectual for the sake of intellectual honesty, you have to like add that when you're talking about alt-righters. But they don't just want a white ethno-state for themselves in America, in Australia, and Europe, but they want like all countries and all races to just live with themselves. Anyway.
Which I do not believe in it at all.
Yeah, because then that would mean that you wouldn't have been born.
Yep.
All right, so YouTube said late on Friday that it had permanently removed Mr. Ralph's channel. Ralph retorted from its platform for policy violations and for going against its terms of service. Are you going to like quote what Ethan Ralph said himself that went against the terms of service? Or are you holding a guilt by association and holding him responsible for what his audience was saying? Because that's pretty shitty of you if you're going to be punishing him for guilt by association. Yep. Okay, not WSJ, but YouTube is definitely pulling an SJW tactic right here. And I know that some people cringe when I say that, but I think that's a comfortable case to be pulling right there.
They're pulling a left-hard thing.
Pulling guilt by association and holding it over a person's head for all eternity, I would say is definitely, yes, an SJW tactic. Like, for example, Christy Winters holding a ranting feminist accountable for the actions or holding her accountable for her friendship of Shoe on Head, who is like friends with Lauren Southern. That is some level 10 SJW shit right there. Like trying to paint her guilty or immoral for being friends with Shoe on Head.
Yeah.
Red Feather says, well, see, this is a separate stream from the Heal stream, which was the charity stream in question. Why not nitpick super chats on the charity stream? He read the super chats out loud, so technically he did say it, I guess, says Red Feather. Yeah, he obviously did, but Apparently, YouTube is not understanding the context of the situation. They don't give a shit about context. Context gets thrown completely out of the window in this story, I guess. I mean, especially when they were bitching about that one first comment, the one first chat that says how you get a Jewish girl's number. They don't care about the context of that.
It was a funny joke, though.
Yes,
and yet people get that upset.
Edgelord.
What? I love racist jokes sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Ralph, whose channel had 22,500 subscribers, it's one of several far-right YouTube celebrities. Okay, the more and more you say far-right YouTube celebrities, the more and more I'm going to say in my head, cite me their beliefs.
Show me the receipts.
Yes, please. Otherwise, I'm just going to brush off your labeling, your most possibly false labeling of them as far-right, who have used the super chat function to make money. I mean, for all I know, Ethan Ralph is just moderate right, is all he is. Or even center right, or just dead centrist and doesn't care about politics. All he cares about is like an edgy sense of humor. Also, I don't know, but I bet YouTube kept the 30%, says Red Feather. Topics among such... Okay. I mean, if they did keep the 30% money, then that means that they are being hypocritical in this. They're just being flat out unprincipled. If they kept the 30% for themselves, well, then they don't really care about refunding the money. They're just like, yeah, sucks to be you, alt-righters or something. I feel like I'm losing my voice now. Let's power through this. Topics among such users can be wide-ranging. From events like the tragedy in Pittsburgh and the confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh to critiques of the media and internal debates among members of the far-right online communities. Most super chats generate a few $100s in revenue, according to an analysis conducted for the Wall Street Journal, with YouTube typically collecting 30%. People familiar with the matter said. All right. And my goal for the near future, honestly, is that I want to make some side money off of my YouTube channel, and sometime eventually, I get to over 1,000 subscribers, people send super chats, etc. You know,
I'm probably never gonna get 1,000 subscribers.
Well, if you work hard, JJ, and consistently upload videos or do streams like these, and you can have some potential if you do that.
And maybe if I start editing, I don't know.
Right. That's another thing. That's why some of my videos do a lot better than my other videos. It's because my formerly mentioned videos, I edit them, like the background video game footage, the music, and the animated profile picture.
Thing is,
sorry, what?
Thing is, I'm not good with editing. I tried once, but the phone messed with it. It's just like, nah, didn't work.
The Onesian rant was okay.
Yeah, except towards the cut at the end where it's like it stopped recording, then I had to like re-record that part.
Red Feather says, yeah, like the stupid chart they came out with a couple of months ago that listed all the far-right YouTubers. Most of them were not right at all. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I am definitely going to take a piss break right now. Yeah.
I take over stream now.
1 second here as I almost revealed my eyes to the camera. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I'm just going to play some video game footage just as a just for entertainment of everybody. Okay. My screen recordings, game recordings. All right. So, all right. So I'm just gonna have this screen shared for everybody to. Oh, what the heck? Screen shared for everybody to watch while I'm gone. And we'll be right back after the break. just you do whatever as well. So if I'm here before you, JJ, I'll wait for you. But anyway.
All right.
Always leave yourself a backdoor. Attack commences in 30 seconds. Reinhard, what should I focus on today?
Focus on what? Drive your enemy back with the blows from your flames.
I got it.
I live for a good fight.
We got Bastion right outside the door here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sorry, trainer, you can't join. You have to understand, strike forces are for hosts only. Can anybody hear me? Testing. Testing. All right. Do 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 do.
I'm ready to unleash my primal rage.
Okay, good to know.
charge. Move it. Move or hang your head.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, welcome back, Zach.
How was my gameplay in that footage, by the way?
Well, except for it being choppy, of course. It was fun.
Yeah, I know it was choppy, but I meant the gameplay itself. Was
Okay.
yes, no, I'm kidding.
Okay, so Red Feather says, didn't you say before you wanted people to join only only hosts, no non-hosts?
Oh yeah. I mean, the Strike Force, particularly the news streams, are co-host specific, and JJ is one of the co-hosts ever since their Conservatarian left.
Yep.
Yay! Loudmouth Reviews, S-Man Speaks, Incredible Last Beat, and Conundrum. They're all the co-hosts of my news stream right here. I know that there was that one time I had you join on, Trainer, but now I'm thinking I'm just gonna hold on. I'm just gonna hold true to that rule right there for the news streams, at least. I mean, if I'm having like a discussion stream, a political discussion stream, I guess you could join if you want to, but not for the news streams. But anyway, so yes, we are back. So sorry, I had to take a number 2, but anyway.
TMI, bro. TMI.
Yeah, I know, but that was like one of the first times that I had to take a break and like play a something like during the break, you know. But anyway, and this has turned out to be one of the longest news streams I've had yet. So continuing on with hashtag WSJ kills kids. Most super chats generate. Okay, already read that paragraph. A spokeswoman for YouTube, owned by Alphabet Inc.'s Google, said the company donates to charity. The proceeds from the super chats that violate its hate speech policy. Whoa. Okay. So a spokeswoman for YouTube, owned by Alphabet Inc.'s Google, said the company donates to charity the proceeds from any super chats that violate its hate speech policy. So what is the implication right there? Like whatever money that was collected from hate speech, you took that money and gave it to St. Jude yourself, and then they just returned the money back? I don't know what the implication is supposed to be right there. How that is a relevant piece of information in this story, but anyway. Hate speech, yeah, quote unquote hate speech, and content that promotes violence is prohibited on YouTube. Yes, any promotion of violence, I would definitely understand and think should be taken down off of YouTube, but still, Red Feather says 8 speech, the number 8 speech.
But I love the number 8.
Anyway, if you know what it looks like if you turn it sideways?
Infinity speech.
Well, I was thinking a pair of boobs, but that works too.
Boob speech. Of course you would think that, you fucking dirty mind, motherfucker.
Like a breasts with like a push-up bra, more specifically though. Anyway,
Zach, you're gonna make me want to have sex with a girl soon, so you better shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry, you thirsty ass motherfucker. Sorry, it's offensive, says Red Feather. All right. Hate speech and content that promotes violence is prohibited on YouTube, the spokeswoman said. We've also been working over the last several months to refine our policies on who has access to monetization features. Yeah, that being like not allowing people who disagree with you politically, apparently. And while this work is ongoing, we are we are dedicated to continuing to improve in the fight against hate online. Take a look at the chat, JJ.
Okay. Oh, come the fuck on. Okay, there we go.
Look at the live chat. You see it?
Yeah, the two. How the fuck do you do that?
I
What the
don't.
f-
I mean, I don't recall any
Is that-
symbol that looks like essentially a nipple.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be a pair of boobs.
Yeah.
Or an upside down cat face to me.
Or an okay. Well, that mouth is like too close to the eyes, to the point that's in between the eyes. That's not.
Have you not seen a cat before? Their eyes are like right close to their mouth.
Okay, I guess that's a point. Anyway, I mean, especially if they were to look at you with a certain angle, with their face. Okay. Like other popular social media platforms, YouTube has struggled to draw the line between cracking down on hate speech and allowing freedom of expression. Yeah, exactly. Which is why that this whole thing draws a little bit of an ambiguity right here. The company relies on a sprawling, this is kind of one of the arguments for free speech absolutism. Free speech absolutism right here is because it's too ambiguous to define what is legitimate hate speech. So therefore, why not just allow it all, and whatever on a subjective basis we'll just criticize and shout down, you know? Instead of like the owner of a certain social media platform just determining for itself objectively and blanketly what is hate speech. Anyway, the company relies on a sprawling ecosystem of creators to supply a steady flow of content to the world's most popular video site, where they get access to special benefits and resources on the platform. Super Chat was launched last year to further encourage those creators to produce more content and attract more viewers. Paid comments receive special treatment. The video host often reads the comment out loud on air, and it gets pinned to the top of the fast-moving chat thread. Yeah, which I thought was a very necessary improvement. Like, you have all those channels that have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of subscribers. They'd be doing live streams and they cannot read every single chat, you know? In fact, most of it goes unnoticed. But anyway, the more someone pays, the longer the comment stays featured at the top of the chat box. While the super chat function is available to YouTube's vast cast of video celebrities and was made primarily to appeal to gamers, it hasn't gained the same traction or scale among those groups as it was with the far right crowd. Oh boy.
Where's my weed so I can get through this?
Your weed or your whiskey?
Maybe both.
Far right crowd. I mean, I don't know about you, but as far as I know, far leftists can host their own live streams as well and get paid super chats. Okay?
Get wrecked, fucker.
According to an analysis by Storyful, a social media intelligence firm that is owned by News Corp, the journal's parent company. Okay. Racist comments are not uncommon.
No shit.
Yeah, no shit. But are they racist in humor, or are they like seriously racist to the point of somebody is definitely advocating for the lynching of black people, etc.? Bullshit like that. I mean, that shit is more than understandable.
Okay, I've decided from now on if I'm gonna read stupid shit on stream, when I turn 21, I will be drinking whiskey.
Oh boy. Just as troubling, according to researchers, are the comments that stay within YouTube's guidelines to avoid getting taken down through the use of coded language in place of hot button topics and slurs. For instance, some commenters use the term basketball Americans rather than a slur against African Americans and population replacement.
Wouldn't basketball Americans be considered people that play basketball or like basketball that are American?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit confusing. When I thought basketball Americans, I did not immediately think black people. But when they added the words rather than a slur against African Americans, that's when I suddenly applied it to black people. I mean, white people play basketball too, you know?
Even though it's pretty rare. I mean, look at Larry Bird.
Okay. Well, that's not the point, though. Basketball Americans doesn't just apply to black people. You nit.
Yep.
When referring to conspiracies about white genocide. Oh, right. I mean, population replacement. Okay, it might have implied racism in it, but when a person is like complaining about how white people will be replaced, it seems to run more along the vein of paranoia than and pessimism than racism. I mean, yes, there's probably some definite implied racism that a person could ask the person, "Hey, you are afraid about a population replacement. Are you hateful and fearful of black people?" If they said yes, well then, yeah. Anyway, I'm going off on a long tangent right there. And
Yeah.
but speaking of irrelevant, like, when are they going to get into the actual story, Wall Street Journal will, about the main story about the St. Jude hospital and the cancer treatment? They're mostly just focusing on hate speech and the rules of YouTube, which seems stupid in my opinion and boring. And the parts that aren't boring of their drivel here, it's just making me want to shoot myself.
I mean, who doesn't at this point after reading this?
Yeah, anyone can do super chats if they meet the requirement. Receive.
Hey, Zach, you're starting to get a little muffled at times.
Is this better, JJ?
Oh, God, yeah, that is.
I was practically had my lips against the microphone, but I don't know what was up there. Okay.
It's like all I heard was just whoa, 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 whoa at some points, and then it just go back, and then it go back again. Whoa. You just went really muffled then. Zach?
All right, I'm back. You said that I was muffled right there. So yeah, I mean, I just said all I was saying was that somebody was knocking at my door.
Ooh. Okay.
But anyway, some users spell certain words with numbers to avoid detection by YouTube software. Many payments, for example, are made in the amount of $14.88. The number 1488 is often used as shorthand among white supremacists to signify
Oh my God.
related merchandise is often sold for $14.88. I don't even know. What does 1488 stand for?
I don't know, and nor do I care. It's a freaking number.
Red Feather in the chat is like showing emojis to try and show how she's shooting herself or wants to shoot herself. It all sounds fine here, says she. What they're doing is transmitting these ideas in other ways. Okay, 1488 is not an idea. That's a number. What's the translation there? What's 1488 mean? I mean, am I supposed to automatically know that, or am I supposed to automatically read into that as some kind of argument for white ethnostatism? Oh, shit.
You okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just my keyboard drawer has been fucked up on this desk for a while, and so it just wants to fall on me. Okay.
Oh.
On one side, it's derailed. On the other side, it's not. So I cannot just like take it off and like completely throw it away. So it's just hanging there. But anyway, that's why that I have my keyboard right on top of the glass right here, as you can see, rather than underneath it. It refers to the 14 words. This is other. 14 words. What 14 words? I mean,
Are they talking about 14 racist words or something?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's more than 14 racial slurs out there.
I mean,
I think I might.
We know the N-word.
I think I might be knowing what Red Feather was trying to get at because I saw some article or something to explain of what the 14 words were. But anyway, I think the Wall Street Journal is just reading too much into this.
Yeah, they're
Because,
being Alex Jones like.
yeah, because when I see the number 1488, I don't automatically assume that it means some argument for an ideology.
I mean, heck, I'd probably think of it as a date like 4 years before 1492.
Okay. Like, you're talking about like when Christopher Columbus came to America?
Exactly.
We're doing is transmitting these ideas in other ways, stupid saying, said one researcher. The researcher has been targeted in the past by white supremacists and other members of the far-right fringes. Ugh. So I guess I can understand how the person is so assumptuous because they're being constantly attacked by these assholes. These the actual far-right assholes. Anyway. After a BuzzFeed article in May, I don't care about BuzzFeed, detailed the popularity of super chats among white nationalists and other far-right personalities. It's not just used by alt-righters and far-rightists.
It's used by white people, black people, Mexicans, Asians. Every single race has used a super chat.
Okay. 14 words, says Red Feather. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. Those are the 14. Okay.
Still, that makes no sense unless reading too far into it.
Okay. It's a statement for white ethnostatism. Again.
Okay, so is the number 1488 automatically racist? No, it's a number.
Right. The saying of we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children, I mean, I kind of give the benefit of the doubt to both sides when it comes to white ethnostatism or just ethnostatism in general. Like, if somebody wants to call that racist, the advocacy for a racial ethnostate of any type, they want to call that racist, I just give them the benefit of the doubt. But if a person on the alt-right advocating for white ethnostatism also goes explaining, no, I want ethnostatism for all races, and they say that's not racist, I also give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm just reserved on accusations of bigotry in general. But in Richard Spencer's case, he said that the reason why black ethnostatists in Africa failed in ruling their country is because they're black, which that makes me say
That is racist.
That he is definitely racist in that case. But anyway, conspiracy theorist shit, says Red Feather. I actually had a conspiracy theorist respond to one of my subscribers in the comments section once. He went on a long tangent of trying to make out of how interracial marriage was such a bad thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, get over your paranoia and your pissy pants-ish. Okay,
was it a white guy or was it a black guy?
I would only assume a white guy because the guy seemed to have been arguing for some alt-right type of ideology. And plus, I looked into a subscription.
Well, I mean, there's black people that are black nationalists who are very right-wing as well.
Oh, I guess. But the typical shit that he was speaking, and also the channels that I found that he was subscribed to seem to have been alt-righters, like Jean-Francois Garapi, for example. JF, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, it's probably a white guy then.
Most likely. Anyway, and I think he was complaining about white genocide as well, so that makes it even that's even more evidence that the guy was most likely a white alt-righter and not a black nationalist. Anyway, after a BuzzFeed article in May detailed the popular I'm slurring over my words because I'm getting so tired.
Okay, so Red Feather also said 8 is the reference to H being the 8th letter of the alphabet. This means Heil Hitler.
Oh. Ah, I see. Oh god. I'm just getting tired, and this is getting too stupid for me to want to carry on. But we shall. After a BuzzFeed article in May detailed the popularity of super chats among white nationalists and other far-right personalities, YouTube said it had started using machine learning technology that can detect hateful comments and put them on hold for further review. Yeah, that's why I'm having to review a lot of these chats by Red Feather and Cold of Ham, for example. The company doesn't disclose how much it makes from super chats overall. When YouTube temporarily suspends a channel for a violation, that creator often appears as a guest on a like-minded person's channel until the ban is lifted. The problem for YouTube, said this researcher, is that YouTube is going to be continuously trying to apply a technological fix to what is a social problem. Mr. Ralph didn't respond to a request. Okay, so now we are finally getting into back to Ethan Ralph instead of talking about stupid YouTube policy. Back to the story with Wall Street Journal. All right. Mr. Ralph of Ralph Retort, obviously, didn't respond to a request for comment. Yeah, I wouldn't really blame him because he's so pissed off over petty guilt by association bullshit that YouTube is polling with him. On Thursday, the Journal approached YouTube with questions for this article. Mr. Ralph opened a new live stream by reading what he said was a super chat submitted earlier in the day, in which the viewer wrote, "Abort Hebrew babies." Oh, girl.
Oh, wow.
The stream continued for more than 20 minutes before it was shut down for violating YouTube's policy on hate speech, according to a notice posted on his Twitter account. Mr. Ralph then shifted to another channel and continued for several... Come on. Okay, I hate this. Several minutes before that also was shut down. St. Jude Okay, here we are getting more into the story because I am tired. I am fucking tired of reading about YouTube's hate speech policy. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital this week arranged to return donations raised in September during the live stream by Mr. Ralph, dubbed a super chat for good. Even as the comments section became populated by anti-Semitic comments and the hosts talked about a Holocaust meme. Okay, so let's presume, I mean, most likely the St. Jude Hospital cancer treatments that Ralph Retort was donating the money to would have been covering a whole bunch of minority children as well. So that's some foolishness on the alt-righters' part, I say. I mean, foolishness according to their own agenda. They are like self-defeating in that area because they are helping the very people that they, well, are against, to put it plainly. So shouldn't you like keep the money and then give it to St. Jude to treat the black children and brown children that they dislike so much, and then go rubbing it in their faces and be like, "Ha ha, you supported these kids, alt-righters." I mean, that I think would be a good strategy right there, is just to rub it in the faces of these alt-righters instead of refunding them their money. I mean, if they find out that this was for like a cancer treatment charity, that their money was being used for treating black and brown children, and that they want their money back, I think that they would want their money back ultimately in that situation. But I think that will be more appropriate if you give the money to those types of children and then rub it in the face of the alt-righters. But hey, who am I? I'm just some pleb on the internet. Some edgelord on the internet should probably have his channel taken down as well. Okay. The money totaled about $26,000. Wow, that's a lot of dough donated to cancer treatment. Well, relative to the guy's channel size, at least. Anyways, many on Twitter complained Friday about having their donations returned to them. Okay. That probably like proves to me that some of these people, despite all their trolly shit posting, were really wanting the cancer treatment to be given to all these children, despite what their color might or might not be. They also attacked the Journal and members of its staff. Rightfully so, I say, blaming the news organization for the return of the money. Although the Wall Street Journal is a credit, I think that St. Jude deserves some blame as well for refunding the money, not accepting it in the first place to save some damn lives from cancer. Says, I wouldn't call him alt-right. He just believes in race realism. I think she's referring to JF. Of course, he also likes to have autistic girlfriends. So, LOL, LOL, laughy face. LOL, you don't have to edit my comments. It went straight to St. Jude. And yeah, like I said, they shouldn't shit post on charity streams. Ultimately it's probably for the best, just so that we can avoid this this headache right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do have to be careful in what you post.
Of course.
Ultimately, I think Wall Street Journal and St. Jude are being petty in this area. But at the same time, if they want to make for absolute certain that the money gets accepted by St. Jude, they have to make sure that they don't do all this kind of shit posting, this kind of edgy and serious alt-right shit posting. If they want to avoid refunds. But again, I say that the ultimate bad guy in this is St. Jude to an extent, but definitely the WSJ. When contacted earlier in the week, St. Jude said it was aware of the chats and was making arrangements to reverse any donations. On Friday, it's freaking money to save your own patience, damn it.
You're sacrificing your own patients' lives just because of some bullshit.
Yeah. On Friday, a spokesperson said, "We had no intention of receiving or accepting any of the funds associated with the live stream." Following the journal's questions, YouTube also took down a live stream by far-right personality Jean-Francois Garepe that was broadcast after the Pittsburgh shooting and included a number of anti-Semitic and racist comments in the paid super chats. Mr. Garepe said his channel doesn't allow hate speech. I'm kind of doubtful of that, but moving on. And that he tries to delete super chats that are either hateful or that constitute calls for violence.
Doesn't seem like that happened.
I don't know either way about that. I mean, let's keep in mind that it wasn't JF's channel that is the subject of victimization here. Okay, I loosely use that word, by the way, but it's not JF's channel that is taken down here. It's Ralph's channel.
Okay, so Red Feather's in the chat. Yeah, there's a lot of good people, even if they say fucked up shit. And she also said St. Jude's gets millions in donations, so 26K is like finding change in the couch for them.
I don't know. I don't care.
Ultimately, they did return money that could have been used.
Yeah. Thanks for making that point, Red Feather, to keep things in perspective, but still, I mean, I don't really care. I don't care at all. People are letting words overrule actions, moral and humane actions of helping cancer treatment. You know. Sorry, I'm running short of breath here. I'm getting tired. We had no intention of receiving no. Following the journal's questions, YouTube also took down a live stream by far-right. Oh, wait, I already read that paragraph there. I mean, I'm just going to give the benefit of the doubt to Garepe. I mean, I doubt it because the guy is an advocate of white ethnostatism himself, from as far as I can tell anyways. But still, Mr. Garepe said his channel doesn't allow hate speech and that he tries to delete super chats that are either hateful or that constitute calls for violence. He said his channel has... Load up for me, please. Has banned thousands of viewers from his channel for repeatedly violating that policy. Mr. Garepe, who calls himself a white nationalist, aha! So there's the admission from him that makes me doubt what he said in the last paragraph. Said he doesn't see a problem with people referencing 1488 or Hitler saying such comments. Okay, so there's the contradiction from Mr. Garepe there.
So he is racist.
Yeah. Yeah, arguably so. Evidently so. Are aimed at encouraging people to gain a better historical understanding of Germany during the first half of the century. I don't care. I don't care for what problems that people like to point out that Hitler had. There might have been some problems that the Germans, I don't know the full context of the history, but there might have been some legitimate problems that the Germans had regarding Jews, some certain particular Jews, but that does not justify the complete and utter holocausting of an entire ethnicity. Damn it.
Yeah.
Saying such okay. That it would be easy for YouTube to prohibit donations made in that amount if they differ from my interpretation. Mr. Garapi's live stream in the wake of Pittsburgh generated $244 in revenue, according to the story full analysis. Wow, Garapi, that that's like pennies in comparison to what Ralph raised. So yeah, Garapi, you're pathetic when it comes to numbers here. You know what? Fuck it. I'll just save this article for some later time. This is going to be talking about the YouTube EU copyright law.
It's racist to leave the EU.
What?
It's racist to leave the EU.
Oh.
Get the reference?
Oh yeah.
Freedom Tunes.
Oh, I see.
The whole EU thing he did.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about now. Okay, so do you have any more comments to make, JJ, before we go off air?
Eugenics is retarded. JF is a race. Jude and WSJ may have just ended up hurting people rather than helping.
Yep, exactly. What I have to say in this is don't allow the migrant caravan. It's a dangerous precedent right there. Birthright citizenship, I think that's still up in the air because from what I read from National Review right there, I cannot be convinced that the 14th Amendment does not cover and protect what people like to call birthright citizenship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
MAGAbomber, I think it's safe to say that he is a Trump supporter, but he's not responsible for Trump, or excuse me, but Trump himself is not responsible for this guy's shitty actions, or attempted bomber, more specifically. He's only an attempted bomber. And Wall Street Journal is stupid. And what I have to say lastly, words do not overrule actions. And in this case, you were letting words, trolling shit posters, their own words overrule the actions of funding cancer treatment.
And so, yes, Red Feather, I did see your song. It's pretty good.
And Wall Street Journal and St. Jude, you two are stupid in that area for letting shit posting overrule humane causes of funding cancer treatment.
Yep.
So, JJ, you want to close out?
All right. This is Crusader and the Dark Conservatarian signing out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. And if you like his channel altogether, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification button to get notified every single time he every time he uploads.
Yep, that is all that we have to say. The Dark Conservatarian. This is the Crusader. God bless.